What? I just put a Richard on the card. I ain't going playing ball, but I'll show you how to gotta do it. If you really wanna ball till you fall when you're back against the wall, and a bunch of need you to go away. Still going bad on them anyway. Saw you last night, but did it broad day.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? All right. Evelyn, did we double check to see if we have John Shen?
Check now.
What's that?
I'm checking right now. We have him here.
Okay. John Shen is the co-host. Well, I'm excited, you guys. This is our first ever Next Level Growth Academy. And where's John? Where's John at? I want to see John. Where's John? This is going to be so exciting, you guys. I'm so excited about this class. This is, but I want to see John when I bring him up. Where's he at? Did you highlight him, Ev?
It was off, so we're asking him to turn on his video.
Needs John camera turned on. Baby, the code came on. It says 506-713.
Dan,
Where you at, John?
can you see me?
I can see you, brother.
Awesome.
It's great. Oh man, I know there's a big story behind your backdrop there. First of all, I want to tell you, John, I really, really appreciate you sharing this moment with us, and I don't take it lightly. I want to tell you guys a little story about John and I. You know, John, you probably don't even remember this meeting. So we used to do full-timers meeting. This is back in Pomona. And I think, John, you might have been a SMD at the time, and I was in Ed Malet's base shop. And I think I had just came full-time. And I must have been, so this was probably 1999. Probably towards the summer of 1999. Yeah. And John Shen had so much momentum. I remember you just had so much momentum. You were just tearing it up. You're an SMD, just kicking butt, taking names. And Malet had this full-timers meeting at this office. It's the famous office that we always talk about in Pomona, California, 981 Corporate Center Drive. And John Shen was the closing speaker for Malet's meeting. And it was the first time, and I was sitting, and at that time, you know, I used to take care of all the audio visual for Malet. And Malet introduced John Shen. I'm sitting in the front row, and you'll see tonight, John is one. I think, John, in another life, you were a comedian, amongst a lot of other things. But John is training, right? I'm sitting in the front row, and I've got, you know, there's a theory called the Powell theory, and what the Powell theory is, if someone's got a bigger pile than you, then you better sit up front and take a lot of notes, right? And I've always remembered the Powell theory, and I was just like, oh my God, this is John Shen, SMD, kicking butt. I want to learn everything. This guy says. So I'm sitting at the edge of my seat. I got my notebook, and I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting at the edge of my seat, and I'm like writing, and he's talking. And we had, remember John, we used to have these overhead projectors. Remember when we used to train, we used to have the transparency.
Yep.
So John has this transparency in his hand, right? And we had this old overhead projector that when you turned it on, sometimes it didn't come on. You had to hit it on the side and the lamp would come on and it would come on. And John is training and he's talking about leadership and development and vision and all this stuff. And he's fired up. And all of a sudden he has this transparency in his hand and he's like, man, I want to show you guys something. I want to show you guys something, right? And then he turns on the transparency. He turns on the machine and it wouldn't come on and he slaps it on the side and all of a sudden the light bulb comes on and he slaps the transparency on top of it and he had his hand covered and I'm looking, right? And he says, you want to see something? You want to see something? You want to see what your future looks like? You want to see what your future look like? If you're ready to get this thing going and go all in and field train and get directs and go through the nose and all this stuff. And I'm sitting on the road. I said, yeah. I want to see what my future looks like, right? And all of a sudden he lifts his hand up and it's his 30-day cash flow, right? And my eyes open up. And at the time, I don't know what I'm making. I think I had a good month, my first month, and the next month I had like $0 or $500 and all this stuff. And all of a sudden I'm looking at it. I think you were at $350,000 a year. I'll never forget it, right? You were $25,000 a month, 30. And he went month by month. He was January. You know what I got paid in January? $25,000. In February, you know what I got paid in February? $30,000. He goes all the way month by month. And I'm sitting there. I literally blocked out and I'm like, oh my God, is that what my future looks like, right? So when he was done, when John didn't know what I did, when he was done, I grabbed the transparency and I ran. We used to have a copy room and I ran in there. And at the time, I'm living in someone else's house and I'm renting a room in someone else's house for $700 a month, right? And I make a copy of his transparency and I erase his name. I block out his name, John Shin, and I write Dan Charlier on it. And literally, John, for like probably 2 years, I had that cash flow like right next to my bed. And every day I was looking at that going, man, one day, right? And it's every time I think of you, I think about that moment. So a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, John reached out to me. He's like, yo, let's do a BPM together. I've got this podcast, boom, 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 all this stuff. And I'm like, yo, John, you already know I got much love for you. So if you call me, you tell me I'm going to be there, right? And like a couple of years ago, he'll tell you the story. A couple of years ago, I'm sitting at my fireplace and I started going through my phone. I said, man, I'm going to see at 2 o'clock in the morning, out of all the leaders who I can call at 2 o'clock in the morning that would freaking pick up and be there, right? So I went through a whole bunch. I went Marlette, all these guys. I called everybody. Everything went to voicemail. I called John Shin. He picked up. He was like, yo, D, you good? You good? You need me? You good? I'm like, no, I'm just checking to see if you would be there for me, right? So we have an amazing relationship. So the other day, about a month and a half ago, he calls me. He's like, yo, let's do this meeting together. I said, I got you. And then so we're doing the meeting together, right? So he does the first part of the meeting, the BPM and stuff, and I'm watching him talk, and all of a sudden, he does the same thing again to me, right? Hey, Evelyn, if you could pull up what I told you to pull up, right? So I'm talking to him, and I'm getting ready to train, and he starts talking, and he says, you want to see what a 30-day cash flow looks like in my life? He said, let me show you what my cash flow looks like. 820, 58,000, 817, 19,000. That's each cycle. Look at this. 813, 19,000, 819, 19,000, 806, 20,000, 731, 22,000, 730, 133, 727, 17, 38,000, 723, 16,000, 720, 38,000, 360. I said, damn, he did it again. Right. So I told my staff, take a screenshot of that real quick. And then boom, I got it. I was like, man, this guy freaking just did it again. But I got to tell you, John is an amazing leader. I've known John for over 20 years. And one of the reasons that I wanted John to be here tonight is because I've seen John not only grow his WFG company and his private brand, but I've seen him work his leadership, and we're going to talk about identity tonight, but I've seen him work his leadership where now, listen to this, you guys, this guy approached the Napoleon Hill Foundation, right? Approached the Napoleon Hill Foundation, right? Funded his own book and movie, right? And he's going to tell you more in detail about that. And also him and his wife was knighted, and he'll tell you a little bit about the details with that. So outside the WFG world, I mean, he's got a WFG, I mean, Jamie, Elon, I mean, we can go through his hierarchy. His hierarchy does close to 60 to 70 million in premium on an annual basis, has an incredible life. I think you got like 17 cars or some crazy number like that, John. Like every car you could name, he's freaking got. He's got properties all over the place, real estate properties. He's got, and just an amazing, amazing leader. But John, what a lot of people won't say, you know how you guys go through Elite Circle? John was the actual architect and the person that actually started Elite Circle. It was his idea. And obviously that went all through the company. He came up with that concept. He came up with that idea. And we've traveled all around the world together. I remember years ago when your son, I think his name is Matthew, right? Matthew Shen. I remember Matthew was thinking about going into the military, and John called me, right? And John is such a closer. He's like, Charlier, I need your help, bro. My son's getting ready to go in the military, and I can't talk him out of it. You got to talk him out of it, right? I was like, okay, let me give him a call. And we had a conversation, and I guess he decided not to go and follow your footsteps and things of that nature. So we have a great friendship for over 20 years. So I want him to share some ideas, some thoughts, and some of the things that he's doing. And we're going to be putting people in front of you that have built awesome businesses. Not only he's dominated the bass shop for 2 decades, Super Bass for decades. Soup has an incredible super team. And one of the things about your business is that if John decided that he wanted to sell his company right now, could you imagine what he could sell his company for right now with that kind of residual income, but still loves the game, one of the best recruiters, one of the best field trainers that I know. So I want him to share a couple of words with you guys. So John, you can take it over from here.
Wow. Dan, first of all, I am just overwhelmed with the introduction. It really, I hope you guys are recording this. I can get a little recording of that segment alone. And if I could afford it, I would take you everywhere around me, around the world, so that you could actually introduce me. You guys, I mean, seriously, I can't say enough about Dan. As he alluded to, I've known him for 20 years, and we've got some amazing, amazing memories together. And, you know, it's funny that you're talking about the cash flow thing and the income. And I didn't even know that story. It's crazy how you impact people in different ways, right? I mean, we don't know. Like, we go up on stage, we do our thing, we get off, but we don't know what kind of impact we had on people. Like, I never even heard that story that you just shared. And you really took us back to the days of transparencies and all that. But it's crazy. How crazy was it that, you know, that then and now, and the difference. And, you know, we have some great memories. And I'll never forget one time I was actually driving on the 10 freeway. And Dan, you probably remember this. And Dan, I called him. You know, I was driving through Pomona, and I thought of Dan. So I called him and he's like, hey, brother. He's like, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm heading home. I just finished up a meeting. I'm driving home. And he says, hey, man, he goes, swing by the house and come and have dinner with me. I was like, right now? And he goes, yeah, man, I just put some steaks on the grill. We got some extra steaks. Love to have you come over. I was like, okay, cool. So I drive over to his house from the freeway. And I get to his house and we sit down and we have an awesome steak. And then afterwards, he busts out a cigar. He goes, you want one, Shin? And I'm not a huge cigar smoker. Dan's a very avid smoker and he knows his cigars. And I said, yeah, I'll have one with you. And so we get out on the balcony and I remember smoking this cigar and you know, you're not supposed to inhale. You guys know that, right? I mean, you're not supposed to, you're supposed to, I guess you're supposed to like take it in and let it kind of sit in your mouth and you're supposed to like blow it out. Well, I smoked it like a cigarette, you know, so I'm inhaling like a man, like, you know, that's what a real man does, you know. So after we go through this entire cigar, I get in my car, I drive down the street, and I kid you not, I park the car in the middle of the road. I roll out of my car, literally rolled out of my car, and I sat there literally like I was visiting the porcelain god. Are you within the middle of the street? I kid you guys not. Imagine me in a full-blown suit in the middle of the street, literally just doing this little deal and hacking up my entire state. I mean, don't imagine that, but it was. I mean, it was like, I called up Dan. I'm like, Dan, what was in that cigar? And he's like, why, what's the matter? And I was like, oh man, I inhaled too much. He goes, you inhaled that? I'm like, I inhaled. Is that what you're supposed to do? And he's like, no, man. He goes, that's not how you smoke a cigar. And I'm like, you're not? I'm like, well, now you're telling me after I'm like sick as a dog. But let me just tell you something. I was hallucinating that day, man. I mean, seriously. But we've had some great memories, and what would I do without a Dan Charlier in my life? But anyway, so great to be here, everybody. Really, really great to be here. Just so you guys know, for the record, I do not have a stack of toilet paper. This is just an image behind me. But it seems like this is what everybody wants right now, right? They want money and they want toilet paper. That's all they really want, right? And I've got both. So let me know if you want a little piece of that. So let me get into my little presentation here. Let's see here. Share. All right. We good? Awesome. You know, Dan, I'm looking at this picture and seriously, it's crazy because I started growing out the Fu Manchu, you know, and only because that way I can remind myself that if I ever have any videos or movies or videos or pictures and it has this, then I know that this is those pictures or things that have the shot of this took place during COVID-19. So I never had facial hair my entire life. So, you know, 20 years from today, if there's some video circulating out there and someone said, I saw this video, I'm like, show me which one it was, they'll know that that video was created during COVID-19, right? And so this is the COVID, this is during COVID. But anyway. So a little bit about me, everyone. Dan did an amazing job doing the introduction, but let me just, there we go. So for me, you guys, it all really started in 1995 after I read this book called Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill, which is an absolute timeless classic. I read this book and you know, Arlene, my wife, read this book. We read it together at night. You know, we'd sit down, we read like a page, a chapter. And you know what? What I got out of the book was totally different than what she got, right? In fact, we're on the same page. And what I got out of the same page, she got something totally different than me. And it reminds me of the movie called The Matrix with Keanu Reeves. You guys remember that movie called Matrix? And, you know, you see that movie, you almost had to see it like 2 or 3 times to really understand what was all that about. Like, I don't get it. Or a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. He made a movie called Inception. Do you guys remember that? And you almost had to watch it 2 or 3 times to understand what is that about? And it's like a dream within a dream and a dream. And so, you know, there's so many, you have to read certain things maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times to really understand. And so this is one of those books. I still read it today. Like almost every other day I read this book, okay? And imagine if you've not read this book, Napoleon Hill was just a little young boy, 25 years of age, when he had the courage to go up to a man named Andrew Carnegie, and he asked Mr. Carnegie what was the secret to becoming successful. And Andrew Carnegie said, you know, that's such a great question. I'd love to commission you, hire you to go and interview some of the greatest minds there are. So he went and interviewed a guy named Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Theodore Roosevelt, the Wright brothers, Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, and many, many others. He literally interviewed 500 of the greatest minds during the Great Depression. I mean, just think about that, right? I mean, imagine the hardships that people were experiencing back during the 1930s. Well, what better book than Think and Grow Rich to embrace the principles, to internalize this book during a time of a pandemic, right? I mean, people are really, not everyone, but many people are today are suffering financially, emotionally, mentally, the relationships, everything is in a crisis situation. And, you know, the younger generation don't even know who Henry Ford is. I kid you not, I walked up to a young one, I said, hey, do you guys know who Henry Ford is? And you know what they said to me? They said, of course, who doesn't know Henry Ford? I'm like, great, who is Henry Ford? They said, he was the president. And I was like, okay, the president of what? And they're like, oh, come on, seriously? Of the United States, bro. And I was like, yeah, wrong Ford, okay? I was like, have you heard of the Wright brothers? They're like, yeah, aren't they like from the 50s or 60s? They're like the blues guys, right? And I'm like, yeah, no, wrong brothers, okay? You know, it's a different era. In fact, about a week ago, I was asking a young lady, I said, hey, do you know who John Hancock is? And they're like, yeah, I saw the movie with Will Smith. And I was like, no, that's Hancock, not John. That's not John Hancock. You know, they're like, what's so special about John Hancock? What do you mean what's so special? Like, have you never heard anybody say, I need your John Hancock on this document? Because John Hancock's signature on the Declaration of Independence is what? It's the largest signature, right, on the Declaration of Independence. And they're like, oh, I've never seen the signature. Can you imagine that? The Declaration of Independence, and they had never even seen who signed it, all the documents behind that. I mean, so I just want you to realize that even today, this book is such an essential part of our life. It's like a history book that we must educate our younger generation to read it. And so this book, by the way, has now sold over 200 million copies around the world, making it only one of 4 books that have ever sold over 100 million copies, right? One, by the way, you're like, well, what are those 4 books? Well, one is a book called Harry Potter. The other one is called Twilight Saga, the story of vampires and wolves. The third one is Lord of the Rings. Okay, I did not include the Bible, by the way, guys. Okay, but and the fourth one is 3 of those of the 4 have all become a theatrical movie, except Think and Grow Rich. 3 of 4 of those, whether you believe it or not, are fictitious. Okay. This one is it's just shocking. And so one day we decided to approach the Napoleon Hill Foundation and ask them if we can get the rights to make a movie based on this book. And so we negotiated, we came to terms, and they gave me the rights. And so people are like, today, like everywhere I go, people say, how did you do that? Well, number one, the takeaway from that is not for you to go make a movie. The takeaway from that is to ask without fear. You see, I think a lot of people right now, they're afraid to ask. They're afraid to seek advice, right? So it's okay to ask without fear. And I did, and surprisingly, they gave me the rights. So we went into full-blown movie production, and this is my very first full-length motion picture movie. We did a limited theatrical release in AMC theaters. We did a big Hollywood red carpet deal. We had all these big celebrities. I mean, everyone that I knew in my network came to this thing. And then we went to the digital marketing. And I started hearing about digital marketing. Everybody's like, oh, man, John, you got to go to digital marketing. I'm like, digital marketing? I'm like, what is that? How does that work? And now let me just tell you guys some stuff confidentially, okay, even though, I don't know, there's a lot of you guys on here. So I don't know how confidential it is, but I'm sure we can try to do our best and be honorable and keep the secret. But when I met with my producers and my team, they said, yeah, John, we could probably do this movie for about 500 grand. And I'm like, 500? I'm like, wow, that sounds pretty good. You know, I can afford that, you know, and then we got into the movie production, and then I was just like learning all these different things. And I was like, well, how much does it cost to do this or this or this? Or I saw in this movie, this little cool visual effect. Can I put that in there? And everybody's like, yeah, it's going to have to increase the budget. Well, we $2.5 million later, we finished the movie. Okay. So we went over budget, okay? And then we made the movie, and I'm like, yeah. And then they said, well, John, what are we going to do about marketing and distribution? I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. What do we do? And they said, oh, man, you got to start marketing. You got to go to the film festivals. You got to do this. And that was another $3 million. It cost more money to advertise than to actually make the movie, you guys. Can you imagine that, right? So now we're over $5 million into this movie, and I have not made a dime yet, okay? And now I have to figure out how to get my money back. And so we went to digital, okay? Digital marketing. Do you guys know that we did over $40 million in sales now on this movie around the world? Can you guys imagine a $20 movie where we made over $40 million and still climbing? Okay? Now, you know, one of the things that people say to me is like, well, how did this happen to you? You're just lucky. No, I went and recruited people, right? I recruited, what do I know about directing a movie? Nothing. What do I know about costumes? Nothing. What do I know about distribution? Nothing. What do I know about editing? Nothing. I know nothing about movies. Nothing other than what? Put up the money. That's all I did, okay? So, but I am really good at what? Recruiting and selling the dream. And I got all these people around me, and we made this movie, and now we're going viral around the world. We went to Amazon Prime. We did great on Amazon, and then we went straight to retail DVDs. We signed a contract with Walmart that we were going to be in every retail store in the United States. They were going to build this huge kiosk for us because they're the buyers of Thinking the movies for Walmart. They're huge fans of Think and Grow Rich. So we were supposed to be in all the movie theaters and, all the Walmart stores. And then they sent us an email letter saying that they wanted to release all movies next year, not just ours, but all movies next year until COVID-19, kind of subsides. So I asked if I can get the rights back, and now I'm doing movie nights, right? So, we could do a Friday night movie night, Dan, with your whole team. Everybody just, subscribes and watch it. No charge, everybody, right? Just my way of saying, let me get you guys to watch this movie and do a movie night. Get your children, get your spouse, get your family members, come together and watch the movie, because I think at the end of the movie, you're going to sit there and go, I need to start a business, okay? And so then there was this book came out, and then now Dr. Dennis Kimbrough came out with Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice, okay? And then Lionel Sosa came out with Think and Grow Rich, a Latino, and then Sharon Lechter, you guys all know Sharon, she did all the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. She was the founder of Rich Dad, Poor Dad Corporation. For 10 years, she served as a CEO, closed that chapter, and started working with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Isn't it crazy, right? You got the Black choice, Latino, and women. And I always felt like the Asians are always the least represented. You know, it's like, how many Asians are like in NFL? Zero. You know what I mean? Like how many how many NFL guys, I mean, how many Asians do you see in the NBA? Like one, or maybe even one? I don't even know if we have one anymore, right? How many Asians are in the hockey league? You know, how many? There just isn't. And how many Asians are in the, you know, how many A-list celebrities do you know that are Asian, or in television or in film? And now we got Think and Grow Rich. There's no Asian. And I was like, what the hell? So I called up the foundation again. I'm like, yo, I didn't say that. I didn't say yo, but I just said, hey, can I ask you a question? You've got the Black choice, Latino, and women. You don't have an Asian choice. Is there a way that I can actually be the author of Think and Grow Rich and Asian Choice? And they said, absolutely, John. What would, you know, again, ask without fear, and bada bang, here we go. So this book comes out, it's on Amazon, and my publisher said, John, you know, there's so many Think and Grow Rich titles that if you use that same title, your book is going to get buried because of algorithms. I got a crash course on algorithms, right? And they said, well, what do you think? And they said, let's call it like How Rich Asians Think and Grow Rich. I'm like, sounds good. Let's do it. Well, guess what comes out right before my book comes out? A movie called Crazy Rich Asians. Isn't that the most bizarre coincidence that that movie comes out, then this comes out, and now everybody who buys that on Amazon, and of course, Amazon is the best of what? Suggestive selling, right? You ever notice whenever you go to buy something on Amazon, it says people who bought this also bought this, and now you've got 10 things in your cart. You're like a little kid on Christmas, can't wait to open up your box. Are you with me on that, right? When those Amazon boxes come up, it's like Christmas time every day, right? And so now this book, I mean, this book, then bookstores all around the country. And I've got some great people on here. You know, I've got Steve Aoki, Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. I got Elon Musk, Vera Wang. I got these other great names. I mean, we should have Dan Charlier in this book, right? My second version, Dan, we're going to get you in this. You know, my opening, a lot of people are like, well, but it's an Asian way, right? Well, you know what's really interesting is that after I interviewed a bunch of white people and black people, brown people, yellow people, gay people, straight people, people who are Catholics, Jehovah's Witness. You know what I discovered? There are many, many forms of discrimination out there today, isn't there? There's obviously race discrimination, but there's also sex discrimination, right? Ladies, tell me, have you not for many, many years been discriminated, right? That you're a woman, that you can't do this, right? Or maybe it was a religious discrimination or age discrimination. One thing I know for sure, people, is that success does not discriminate. Okay, success goes to anybody who says, I want it really, really bad. And so I want you to know that when we talk about you wanting it really bad, let me just tell you, Napoleon Hill says that the starting point of all achievement is what? Is to have a burning desire. And what is that burning desire for you? You know, when you sit there and you look at Thomas Edison and the story behind that, where his mother, right, he came home with a little letter. And the little letter basically said that Thomas, and he came home to his mom, and his mom read it. And as she's reading it to herself, she says, what it really said was, your son is so dumb. I'm paraphrasing, right? Is so dumb. We don't even want your kid to come back to our school. Can you imagine? So obviously she didn't read that. You know what she really said? She said, Thomas, your teachers and principals think that you're so smart that they don't even have teachers smart enough in school to teach you and educate you, so therefore they would like me to homeschool you. And can you imagine? That is what she told Thomas Edison, and imagine who Thomas Edison is today. You know, Napoleon Hill had a son who was deaf. He was born with no ears. You know, all these doctors said, man, you know what? Your kid will never, ever hear. But you know what? Napoleon Hill never accepted that. And let me just tell you, and years later, because he never accepted what people and the doctors said to him about his son, his child eventually became what? Was able to read, was able to what? Hear. And that's such an inspiring story. You know, and I look at myself when I was in second grade, my teachers, my elementary teachers called in my parents to do a parent-teacher conference, right? And they told my mother and my father, they said that your son has a learning disability, you know, and so they said, we would like to put him in these special classes. And so they put me in these special ed classes with all these other kids. I don't know why I was supposed to be there, but the teachers told me that that's where I belong. And so I went into these special ed classes, right? Not to mention the fact that ESL, do you guys even know what that is, right? English as a second language. I went into ESL classes, and they literally treated me like I was dumb. And I was like, I had recess and lunch and snack with these other kids versus all the other kids. Are you with me on that? And so my parents would not accept that, so they hired a tutor. And the tutor came and started tutoring me every single day at nighttime from 9 o'clock at night till midnight, right? So can you imagine, I'm just a little kid, like so tired. I want to fall asleep, but my mom and dad would not let me sleep because they said I had to get tutored. And so this teacher comes to my parents after about a year and says, Mr. and Mrs. Shin, you know, your child does not have a learning disability like these teachers are saying. So my mom says, well, what's wrong with him then? They said, you know what the teacher says, the tutor says? Your son doesn't understand English. You see, your son doesn't understand the vocabulary words because you guys aren't talking to him in English. He doesn't he says it. See, like I could pronounce it, but I didn't know the definition of the word. And so when the teacher said, what did you read? I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I read. So they thought I was dumb. I was like, you know, there was something wrong with me. Can you imagine that? And here I am today, right? And they said that I had a reading comprehension, that I would never be able to be a normal child. I would never be able to speak well, that I would never, ever be able to I would have difficulty in life, even writing, because I didn't know what to write. I didn't know how to write because I didn't know what the words were. How do you write when you don't know what words are? And so isn't it crazy that I'm now a best-selling author, an international best-selling author, and I speak on stages all around the world? You see? And so I love this book, and I went on a tour called Think and Grow Rich, the Legacy World Tour. Our intentions were to go to 12 countries, 34 states. We started last year. You know, I've shared the stage now with people like Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State. I've now got Barbara Corcoran. Get this, Barbara Corcoran is in my movie. She's a cast member in my movie. So she said, hey, John, would you like to go get on the Shark Tank set and watch it one day? And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I go to the Shark Tank showing, and I met all the producers and directors, and they said, John, you know, we're having lunch and dinner. And I said, what do you think about the show? And I said, it's good, but I think it could be great. And they said, well, what do you think? Why isn't it already great? And I said, well, here's the thing. I see that you've got, you know, a brown shark, you got a white shark, you got a black shark, you got a women shark. You got no Asians on this show. You know what I mean? Let's color it up a little bit, you know? And they said, oh, who do we get? And I'm like, come on, man. I mean, what better person than me to be an Asian, your first Asian shark? And so they said, oh, okay, you know, and they went through their due diligence. Get this, I was going to be on Shark Tank 3 months ago. The first Asian. Can you imagine all these people? And my second and third grade teacher who'd have said, I had a student one time we put in special ed, you know, named John Shin. Can you imagine that? Oh, man, they'd be swallowing their tongue right now. You understand that? Because you know what? I was going to be on the Shark Tank, you know? Isn't that just the craziest thing? You know, Martin Sheen and I served as board members as the Manny Pacquiao Foundation. Okay, this is Rob Dyrdek, also a cast member in the movie TGR the movie. This is Stedman Graham. Y'all know who Stedman Graham is? Okay, you should. He wrote a book called Identity Leadership, and you also probably know his significant other. It's a lady named Oprah. Do you guys all know Oprah? Okay, so Stedman heard about this tour called the Think and Grow Rich World Tour. He calls me up and he says, hey, John, he goes, listen, I want to come by your house. I'm like, my house? Can you imagine? Like, yeah, we heard about this tour. We'd love to swing by your house. And I'm like, my house? So I invited them to my house. We had lunch and dinner. And because him and Oprah are huge fans of Think and Grow Rich. Can you imagine that? Stedman and Oprah coming to my house? I mean, it's like, talk about a podcast show. That's what I'm talking about. So I was like, all right, we got to get photos. I had my whole camera team there, and they took a picture of Stedman and me, but I wasn't in the picture because he's like 6'8". Does that make sense? I'm 5'8". So I can get into the frame of this picture, I had to get me a chair. Does that so that we could get a photo together. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, Stedman, what's it like always looking up at people when you're talking? I mean, looking down at people when you're talking to them, you know? So anyway, that's what I'm talking about. Let me just tell you how my life has changed, okay? Just changed. And then, of course, I meet a guy named Steve Aoki. Anybody know this guy, right? And there's some great stories there. That's me, a couple friends, and my wife standing next to Steve. This is Mario Lopez. Anybody heard of this guy? Okay, so Mario says, hey, you know, we've heard about this tour called the Think and Grow Rich Tour. I'd love to have you on my show. I get on his show called Listen to Mario, and then guess what? Look what he said here. He said, listen to Mario, just drop. John Shin Official will get you motivated. Swipe up. It was so good, he invited me back for a second episode, part 2 with John Shin. It blew up more than the first one. And then he says, hey, Shin, he goes, what do you think about you and me co-authoring a book together? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So we did, okay? So now our book is coming out together, right? Me and Mario, or Mario and I. And then one of the greatest honors was last year, I was knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and Saint Helen. And my wife also became knighted, so she is officially a dame by the Royal Spain. And, you know, it's crazy. You know, I never knew, you know, we're like getting knighted, and it's crazy because I never even knew that in the royalty that there's a hierarchy. Does that make sense, right? And, you know, I thought I was like the Shin, just kidding, getting knighted, right? You know, and I find out I get invited to a royal event, and I show up, and they all have, like, if you look over here, you'll see my wife's royal medallion. I don't know if you guys can see it right here on her left shoulder. You can see the medallion. And then I found out that when we go to these royal events, you know, now mind you guys, this is now September of 2019, okay? So then what happens is just a little while ago, and I go to this royal event, I meet this guy, and they go, oh, this is Baron something, this is Baroness, this is Count, this is Countess, this is the Duchess, this is the Duke, this is the, you know, Earl, and the Earl, you know, just, there's so many different Viceroy and Vice, you know, I was like, what is all this? And then I went and Googled it, and I realized there's a hierarchy, and that becoming a knight and a lady is the lowest level, in the royalty court. So I came in as a training associate. Are you with me on that? In the royal family, the royalty. So I go up to the prince, and I'm like, hey, Prince Raphael, just out of curiosity, I said, you know, what's it take to become a duke or a baron? And he says, why do you ask? And I said, well, I just realized that I'm at the lowest level of royalty. I mean, I'm just a sir, you know? And he goes, wow. And I go, you got like a fast start program or something, like a 90-day blitz? I'm like, because I want to move up to the top of the royalty, you know? And he says, well, yeah. He says, well, what do you mean by a fast track? I'm like, you know, like how long does it take to become like a count? And he says, well, you know, at least 20 years. I'm like, so you don't have like a 90-day program, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and he goes, well, maybe we can work something out. And I said, well, what do I got to do? I said, I want to just do it. And he says, all right, well, I said, just tell me what I got to do. You see, I want to be coachable, right, and teachable so I can move up into the royalty, right? He says, well, I go, the next level up is to become a baron. I was like, okay, well, I like Baron, you know, like that sounds pretty good. Baroness Shin, you know, my wife is now be called Baroness. And I said, you know, I kind of like the name Count. I said, what's it take to become a count? And he says, well, you know, you got to do a lot, John. I said, just tell me. I'm coachable, man. Prince, Raphael, please. I said, I would love to be a count. And he says, okay, well, you got to do this, 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 and this. And this is now September. And I said, okay, starting October 1st, November and December for 3 months straight, I was on a 90-day fast track to become a count. And I did it, man. I traveled all over the world. And then in January of this year, I was promoted to Count and Countess Shen. Can you guys believe that? We are officially now a count. You know what I mean? Like Count Dracula, right? Are you with me on that? Like the Count of Monte Cristo, right? I'm going to have me a big fat Monte Cristo now, Charlie, right? Then why are you smoking a Count of Monte Cristo? Because I am Count, right? You know, and I'm smoking a Monte Cristo. That's why, right? I mean, can you imagine? And so now what's really cool is now I got promoted also as the ambassador of the ambassador to the North America to Prince Raphael and to the king and queen. And so I can now recommend, okay, I can now recommend people to get knighted. Now, I can't do the knighting, but the king and queen and the prince does, but I can now nominate people, and that's something I've been wanting to talk to Dan about, because I would love, because I think Dan Charlier should become a knight. Don't you guys think, right? I mean, he looks like a knight. You know what I mean? And get this, I think it'd be awesome, right, to have Dan to be a knight, right? And that's something we'll have to talk about, Dan. I mean, I'm serious. This is no joke, right? This is no shit. I'm talking about the shin here, okay? So, so obviously, you know, we get interviewed, and the questions that we get asked today is, how did this all happen to us? Okay, well, let me just tell you guys how this all happened. Number one is this, okay? We prayed, okay? You know, let me just tell you guys right now, you know, when you guys are praying, you ask God, God, please, can you send me $100 million, please, $100,000? Let me ask you, do you really think that God's in heaven right now printing $100 bills for you? You know, he's going to send you an email from heaven, and it says tracking, right, number, right? Here comes $100 grand because you prayed about it. I don't think so. I think that when you pray for things, that God sends you what you're asking for in a different package. Okay, and you got to look for those clues, right? I think the fact that you're all here tonight, there's something here, right, that you're going to pick up that I think is going to be the clue to help you reap the kind of things that you've always that you always prayed for, the things that you wished for, the things that you dreamed for. And so I want you to know, I want you to start looking for those things. Okay, you got to keep an open mind. All right. Number two is I had big dreams, everybody. You know, my parents, when they immigrated to this country from Korea, okay, from South Korea to be very specific, because I know you're going, whoa, Korea. Like, yeah, South. Okay, that's the good part, not North. And even if I was North, I'd still tell you I'm from the South. Okay, so we came here from South Korea. And why do you think most people immigrated here? Why do you think that Charlier's family came here from Haiti, right? Because what? Our parents told us. We did not come to this country to screw up this opportunity, right? We came to this country seeking the dream. And my dream is to what? I wanted to be financially free. But I also wanted to go out there and I wanted to help people. You know, I went to a country called Nicaragua and I saw women and children doing their what? Doing their laundry in the river. Right? And then this is Nicaragua toll charges. This is Nicaragua toll, right? They stopped us because they wanted money. And they were very nice. They let us through and we went up, you know, up into the jungles. And as we get into the jungles, there's a little boy there. He's taking his shovel and his booties, right? And I was like, what is this kid doing? And they're basically taking what? They're taking, like, he's taking mud from the side of the road and he's patching in all the holes so that cars and trucks don't get stuck as they're going up the hill. You know, and I said, well, how much does this guy get paid? And they said, oh, no, he's just a volunteer. And he says, you know, and you know, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, here's a kid who wants to be the solution to the problem. He wants to help. He wants to serve. And he doesn't just want money. He just says, what can I do to help contribute? You know, these children and women are living in conditions like this, right? I mean, this is where me and Jeff Levitan, this is where we stayed in a place like this. For almost 2 weeks, we stayed there. I came back with bags underneath my, down to my cheekbones, right? My wife looked at me and she said, oh my God, what happened to you, honey? I said, honey, we haven't slept in 2 weeks. She's like, why didn't you sleep? I'm like, are you kidding me? In the middle of the night, we hear things. I'm like, oh, shit. It was like man versus wild. Man, I'm telling you, me and Jeff did not sleep. And so I'm like, no human should live in these kind of conditions. And so this is me doing magic tricks for these kids, right? I mean, these two boys thought I was Jackie Chan. Right? And that's where I get the nickname Jackie, you know? And so, you know, of course, there's material dreams too. Okay, it's okay to have material dreams. You know, one day, Dan, when this whole COVID thing is over, I'd love to host a party, a gathering at my house, one of my houses. Right? This is my driveway. It's a 1/4 mile to. Can you imagine having a 1/4 mile driveway, you guys? It's a 1/4 mile to my house. Okay, imagine coming there. Okay, and everybody's like, man, John, all these neighbors are like right next to you. And I'm like, no, what do you mean neighbors? That's my whole property. You see the one down below on the right-hand side? That's the guest quarters down here, right? And then this is the main house, and then over here is like the gym, the spa, the basketball court, all that kind of stuff. I got my own avocados on there. You see all these avocado trees back here? I got my own, I'm self-contained. Right? I mean, I can live on my property, never get off my property, just in case. Right? I got apple trees, tangerine trees, orange trees, avocado, pistachios, man. I got water wells. I got my own water supply. I don't need to go to Costco and get water. I got my own water supply. Right? I mean, look at this. I got my own basketball court. I do my event here. We can do Mr. Money, right? We can go and play paintball on our resort, on our property. Okay, this is my other house in Calabasas. Okay, this is my. Do you guys ever think about buying an island? Do you think that big? Remember, I said you got to dream again. Do you dream that big that someday that you own your own island? Why not? Right? I mean, I do. I thought about owning my own island, and so I called up Charlie and I took him to my island. Right? And so this is our island right here. Okay, this is Dan getting breakfast for us. Okay, down here in the bottom. Okay, now why are you guys laughing at my island? You don't even have an island, and you're laughing at mine, right? My goodness. Okay, and then guess what? No, we really did. We went to Costa Rica. Jeff Levitan and I, right? Frozen. What's going on here? Can you guys see this? Oh, there we go. So we went to Costa Rica and we bought an island. This is it. We bought 2.5 miles of coastline. We built our own properties on this white beach sand. These two little guys, we own that as well. Okay, this is what we built. This is my place, Jeff Levitan's place, Greg Cap's place, right? This is the inside of our place. We should do some masterminds there. Okay, and then and of course I bought a Rolls. Charlie A drives a Rolls, right? Why not? Let me ask you a question. If somebody gave you the keys, right, to a Rolls Royce or a Prius, which one would you take? Really, what would you take? Why would you say Prius? Don't say Prius. Why would you say Prius? Go take the Rolls Royce, sell it, and go get yourself 50 Priuses, okay? I mean, you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to make better business decisions, people, right? That's what, like, you're like, oh, no, I don't need a Rolls Royce. No, I asked you, which one do you want? And you said, I want Prius. No, you're making a poor business decision now, okay? So guess what? I bought me a Rolls, right? Hey, Charlie, it's always nice having a Rolls, isn't it? Doesn't it drive just a little bit better, right? You know, let me just tell you something. This thing is made in England. You guys understand that? It's made in London. It takes months and months and months to make this car, right? I mean, in England. You know, when I drive this car, I have an English accent. You know what I mean? Like when I drive it, does that ever happen to you, Charlie? Because when I drive my Rolls, I drive around with an English accent, man. Then I bought my wife a Bentley. And then as Charlier said, I bought her a McLaren, and then she felt bad, so I bought myself a couple of cars. Are you with me on that? I now have 17 cars in my fleet. Why not? I just recently ordered a new car. It's pretty cool. It's called a Rezvani. Rezvani. Okay, you should go Google what a Rezvani is, right? It's an armored truck is what it is. You know, and I got a couple of them so that if all hell breaks loose, me and my kids and my wife, we got something we can get to a destination to be safe. Okay? So, yeah, go look at Rezvani. I'm not kidding, you know? And you think I'm the only one that got one? Hey, Will Smith got one. Jamie Foxx got one, right? Okay? These are my parents, Mr. Miyagi, okay, and Mrs. Miyagi, okay? So they want a Mercedes, so I got them a Mercedes. Look, aren't they cute, man? They're so adorable, right? And then we bought a yacht. Why not? Right? This is how I came to America. And I picked up Charlier from Haiti on the way in, okay? This is how we got to America. Now, why are you laughing at my yacht? You don't even have a boat, and you're laughing at mine, man. Okay, no, I'm kidding. So we bought a yacht, you guys. We bought a 65-foot yacht, okay? We got a yacht, and now we upgraded, okay? Now I'm going to, just so you guys know, okay, I'm going to be inviting you guys, Dan, you know, you and Sophie, I'm going to invite you guys for a show, right? Yeah, we're going to have the official launching of our yacht. It's a 110-foot yacht. Is that, you know, talk about having some BPMs on that. That's where I'm going to do my Tuesday BPMs, right? Is on my yacht. So they're going to say, you making any money? Are you stupid? Are you with me? You're sitting in my 110-foot yacht, you dumbass. I mean, like, seriously, like, I'm gonna drive around the port, you know, in the marina, and I'm gonna say, you ready to get started? If they say no, I'm gonna say, swim back to the pier, man, swim back. No, I'm just kidding, because you're so dumb, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. God, you sensitive people. All right, so, guys, we just picked up a yacht, all right? Why not? Celebrity dreams. I always wanted to be an actor, so I got coached by a man named John Voight. He's my acting coach, okay? And then guess what? I'm doing stuff now with Will Smith. His kids and my kids go to school together, right? Now my wife is hanging out with him. Oh, my God. I'm just like ridiculous. All right, here we go. And then how else did this happen? Timing. Guys, we're about to experience the greatest wealth transfer ever, right? According to Forbes magazine, $30 trillion are in the hands of all these rich people, okay? And not rich people, just people with money. $30 trillion, okay? And it's not just the Forbes, it's also the Wall Street Journal says about $30 trillion in assets are going to get moved to the next generation. Now, if you don't really understand how many zeros there are, let me just show you. This is $30 trillion, okay? What would happen to your business if you went and got 1% of $30 trillion? That's a $300 billion what opportunity. If you just got 1%, what if you got, you know, a 0.5% of 1% or 1/4%, right? Or 1.125%. Or what if you only got 0.06%? You're at 18 billion. Do you understand how big that is? You guys, Swan Win, right? They just released the numbers, right, in our convention the other day. What was his number? Something like how much was that? Billion? Yeah, it was 2 billion, right? Or 3 billion. That's. I mean, I shouldn't say that's it, but can you imagine like how big Swan Win is? And he's only at 3 billion. That's not even 0.06%. He's got like 0.06 of 06 of, you know what I mean? Half a. Right? I mean, it's like, man. Okay, look at even Jay-Z, Will Smith, Mark Wahlberg, Robert Downey Jr. They're starting up their own life insurance company, man. Even the big boys, the celebrities are getting into this space. Why? Because they smell the opportunity. And you want to think about it? Think about what? You know, it blows my mind. I talked to a guy. I'm like, hey, man, check out this great opportunity. And the guy's like, yeah, I need to talk to my wife and think about it. Think about what? What are you going to say to your wife? Honey, I want to start a business so we can put our family in a better place. What do you think? Nah, it's okay. What the hell? Right? I mean, seriously? You know, I had a guy the other day. He said to me, he goes, John, let me think about it. I got to talk to my brother-in-law, my siblings, and my dad. And I'm like, your dad? I said, do you realize that, you know, your parents, your pastors, all these people, they love you. But let me just tell you, just because they love you doesn't mean they're giving you the best advice. Okay, why would you go talk to you? Don't make me call you Joe Green. You're like, who? Like, who's Joe Green? Oh, Joe, you guys don't know Joe Green? Let me tell you who Joe Green is. Joe Green is Mark Zuckerberg's roommate at Harvard University. And Mark, it was his roommate. And basically, Joe Green went and talked to his dad, who was a professor at UCLA. And he basically told him, he says, I don't want you to have anything to do with that Mark Zuckerberg guy. And I don't want you to have anything to do with that whole Face Mash business. By the way, it was not called Facebook back then. It was called Face Mash. That's what it was originally called, right? And he basically told him not to do the business. Can you guys imagine what that cost him today? He would be worth about $4 billion. $4 billion, okay? Don't make me call you Joe Green. Next time I see you, they're going to go, remember me? And I'm like, Joe, right? No, why would you call me Joe? And I'm like, well, you kind of remind me of Joe Green. That's why. Why? Because you quit, man, okay? Like, you didn't do it. You didn't go all the way. So let me just tell you something. One of the other things is that how things happen for us, we learn how to turn desires into gold. And I want you guys to begin turning your desires into gold. Right? In the book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says that fixing your mind the exact amount of money that you desire. How much money is it you want? Most people don't even know. You know, there's something very magical that happens when you say, I want a lot, if you just say, I want a lot of money, right? But when there's something very magical when you say, I am going to make $150,000. I'm going to make $1 million. Okay, so let me just tell you where I'm at. Right now, my business plan is so that I can go make $25 million a year. That is my business plan. Okay, so here in 2021. Okay, and a lot of people are going to say, yeah, right, okay, yeah. Watch when I make it, and I'm going to post that one on Facebook too. Okay, so everybody can see, right? Because I know exactly how much money I want to make. I know exactly what I got to sacrifice. So before you say it, whatever dollar amount, determine your plan on what you're going to sacrifice in the returning for that money. You know what that sacrifice means? I'm going to have a little less time with my kids. I'm going to have a little less time for my wife. But you know what? They're okay with it. I sought their permission and their approval to do it, because I'm doing it for them and our future generations to come, okay? Number 3, I'm going to get this done before December 31st, 2021. You see, most people, they go, I'm going to make a lot of money. I go, by when? You know what they say? As soon as possible. Well, let me ask you a question. If I gave you a target, a bullseye, and I held my target here like this, and this is the target, and I say, hit it. I throw you an invisible ball, and I said, hit my target. I go, here, I can move it back and forth like this, or I can hold it still like this. What would you want? Don't say you want it to go like this, because it's harder to hit. Wouldn't you want your bullseye to sit still like this? Of course. Why? Because it's easier to hit. So when you say, I'm going to become an SMD, great. By when? Not as soon as possible, or when the time is right. Okay, because the next thing, just so you know, is there's never a good time. Okay, when is a good time to have a child? Never. Does that make sense? You just have a child. Okay, let me just tell you, you're never ready to have a child. You can take all the Lamaze classes, you can read all the books that you want, and let me just tell you something. When that time comes, let me just something called instinct. Something called Mother Nature just kicks in, ladies, and that's how you deliver a baby. You don't remember any of those things that you practiced in Lamaze, all that stuff you read about, okay? And let me just tell you how many times I hear ladies say to me, like, they'll say, John, you know, I've been a mother for all these years. Do you think someone like me could become an entrepreneur? I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, ladies, if you can give birth to a child, seriously, if you can give birth to a child, there's nothing you can't do. I mean, just think about that for a second, right? That you carry a human inside your womb for 9 months, right? Men, are you with me? Men act tough, but they cannot endure the pain like you can, ladies, right? I don't even know how you ladies do it. You're like multitasking all the time, okay? You're doing, how many times have you gone through 4th grade? Well, you went through it personally once yourself, and then you went through it every single time with your kids. Right? How many times have you had to do those projects? You know, teachers, if you're one of those teachers on here, could you just be a little nicer to us? You know, every time you have those projects that you assign to those 1st graders and 2nd graders, do you really think, teachers, that our 2nd and 3rd graders are doing those projects all night long? No, it's us. Man, I'm telling you, when our kid we did a project for our kid, and when we picked up our little kid, we're like, what'd you get? What'd you get? And she says, I got an A, I got a 95. My wife and I, we looked at each other, we high-fived. We're like, yeah, baby, we got an A, right? Because we're the ones that went to Michael's and bought all that glue, all that cardboard, all the scissors. We stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning putting that shit together, that project together. Are you with me on that? Come on now, teachers. Yeah, no 3rd graders going down to Michael's and an Uber and buying all that stuff. We're the ones doing it. Come on now. Okay, so let me just tell you. I don't know how I got on that, but anyway, let's come back to this. Have a definite plan, okay? Right? People don't plan to what? Fail, but they what? Fail to plan. Get with your SMDs. Get with Dan Charlier. Are you with me on that? What better person than to follow Dan Charlier? Right? I mean, the guy's like a stud. Like, I mean, you know what? If I, let me just tell you, if I was somebody out there today and I wanted to get recruited by somebody, I'd want to get recruited by Dan Charlier or John Shin. That's it. Right? I mean, because let me just tell you something. We built it. Does that make sense? Dan and I built our business from scratch, right? You know, a lot of people out there, they should go, there's another level in the business format system. You guys know what I'm talking about? See, Dan and I and many of the SMDs here, we're running the pure WFG business format system. But there's other leaders like the Eric Olsons, right, that mastered something called the transfer format system, okay? That is not how you build a business, okay, folks? You got to build it with like real thoroughbreds. Are you with me on that? Because that's what's going to last, okay? You know, you can legitimately go out there and say, I built a business from scratch, okay? Because that's how I built it, all right? Some of you guys are like, damn, John's on something right now, man. He's like laying it out. Well, one thing you guys are going to know about me is I don't sugarcoat nothing, right? Like, you want to know the truth? I'll give you the truth, right? But it's like that scene from a movie with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson, right? Where it was a movie called A Few Good Men, I think was the name of the movie, right? And they're in a courtroom and they had this scene. He's like, you know, Jack Nicholson sitting on the bench, right? And he goes, you want the truth? You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Do you guys remember that scene? Oh, so like epic, right? Yeah, most people can't handle the truth, but that's why a lot of people don't come to me, because they want me to always sugarcoat things, and I just can't do that. I got to give it to you raw, okay? Number 6, I want you to read it out loud twice a day. You're like, oh, that's so corny and stupid. Yeah, well, that's why you're broke. Does that make sense? You're so broke, you can't even pay attention right now, right? So let me just tell you, read, get it? You can't pay attention. All right, here we go, baby. God, it's hot in here, Anna. Okay, God, I'm on a roll right now. Here we go. So let me just tell you something. Another thing is I learned to become a great teacher, right? You got to become a good teacher. Read a book on how to become better teachers, become better coaches, and become better mentors, right? You guys, here's the thing. You know, there's an old proverb that says that you could give a man a fish and they can eat for a day. Or you can give a man or a woman a fish and he can eat for a day, or a person and they can eat for a day. But you got to teach them how to fish. It's the how to fish, and they can eat for a lifetime. right? Isn't that what it's about? What is it? Seriously, like, why would you not want to go and be taught by Dan Charlier, right? I mean, he's going out of his way. He's putting this program together. I saw the all-star lineup. Are you with me on that? You got Jamie Villalobos coming up, right? You got all these other wonderful leaders that are coming in to speak to you guys because they're teaching you the hows. I hope they're going to teach you all the hows, right? The idea is that's how you become a what? A good teacher. A great teacher is teach them how. Okay? And here's the idea. You know, they say, you know, the idea of taxing the rich and redistributing the money to the poor will make them all rich. This is outrageous. Come on. If that was true, then guess what? Then everyone who's a welfare recipient today would be what? Millionaires. But are they? No. That's why lotto winners lose all their money. How in the world is it that you go get the lotto, you win the lotto, and you file bankruptcy? How in the world do you become a movie star, celebrity, comedian, whatever it is, you go make $100 million and you file bankruptcy? Because you didn't understand how money works, which is what we do. We're teaching people what? How money works. That's what we're trying to do. We want to duplicate the master copy, right? How does that master copy look for you? Would you duplicate you? Would you follow you? Let me ask you something. I mean, would you follow you? I hope, you know, you would say yes, but are you the master copy we're duplicating? Right? I'm not, you know, I have no problem calling people out. You know, there's a lot of people on social media right now. They're all fake, man. They live this life where it's called fake it till you make it. That's so pathetic. Why you gotta fake it? Don't fake it. I'm gonna tell you two other things other than fake it. How about faith it? Faith, F-A-I-T-H. Faith it till you make it, right? That's what you gotta do, all right? Number two is face it till you make it. Go and face your what? Fears. But Kate, the master copy. I ask people, I'm like, hey, you talk big. I said, I'm just kind of curious, man. I said, how much money do you have saved? You know, these guys, they go, I make 500 grand a year. I'm like, are you kidding me? I go, how do you live on that, man? I said, they go, well, what do you make? I said, man, if I told you how much money I make, you wouldn't even believe me, right? And they're like, what you make a year is what I make a month, right? And so I'm getting to a point where I'm going to say, you know what you make a year is what I make a day. Right? So let me just tell you, I want to follow like people who have not just the money, but their family as well. That's why I follow Rich Stolle, right? That's why I go and I follow Amani Home, right? Because I love their family lifestyle, right? You know, check this out. You know, during the Great Depression, there's this guy right here, and his name is W. Clement Stone. And get this, you know that he is a firm believer of PMA, something called positive mental attitude. And get this, even during the Great Depression, it didn't get him down. In fact, it even forced him to work harder than ever before. He became the first chairman of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Can you guys imagine that, right? That the first chairman of the Napoleon Hill Foundation was a black man, okay? So let me just tell you something. You know what's really crazy coincidental is that this guy started an insurance company with basically $100. Sound familiar? Can you imagine what you guys and I all started with? $100. Okay, and he's now built up that company, and that company is now called Aon, A-O-N. It's a real insurance company. It's a multi-billion-dollar insurance company, and how crazy that he started. Right, did this, and he's now with Aon, and we're working with Aegon, right? You guys see the difference here? Pretty crazy, like coincidences, parallel life that me and W. Clement Stone are living today. So, another thing in how we got to where we are today is we made decisions quickly, everybody. We made decisions quickly. So let me just tell you, okay? Making decisions quickly, winners and champions and successful people, they make decisions quickly and change their minds slowly, right? But losers and failures make their decisions slowly and change their minds what? Quickly, okay? So let me just tell you something. Boom, I made a decision. I'm gonna make a movie. Boom, made a decision. I'm gonna go and what? Write a book. Boom, I'm gonna make a decision and go on a world cruise. I mean, a world tour, right? So I made these decisions. So how do you make those decisions for yourself? Number one, limit your options, right? A lot of you guys have you give yourself too many options, okay? Another thing you do is you what? You start to draw a hard line between good and bad, right? And then you go out there and listen to your gut, right? Your gut feeling, that sixth sense, right? So you got to have guts, G-U-T-S. You know the word guts? You got to have some guts to be successful, right? What does guts stand for? G-U-T-S. It stands for great urge to succeed, right? That's what guts are. You got to have some ovaries. You understand that, right? You got to have some, you know, yeah. Think of your time as what? Money. Know that decisiveness grows with each decision. Okay. And remember that indecision kills. Okay. In fact, you know what? You know, when you work at the word decide, it comes from the root word Latin de, means to do. Right? Means do. The word side, S-C-I-D-E, means to die or to kill, right? That's why there's pesticide, homicide. You guys with me on that? Right? Because it means to kill. What you all need to do now is to kill all your excuses. Does that make sense, right? Because that's what you're all, see, you got to do and kill all your excuses. Do or die. Okay, and then you got to embrace this idea of having passive and residual income. You see, I love this book. One of my top 10 favorite books is Rich Dad, Poor Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant, right? Written by Sharon Lechter and Robert Kiyosaki. Here's what they said, that we are all programmed to become employees. Okay, you're all programmed to become an employee where you have a job. So here's my belief. You are all programmed, okay, right? Let me just show you. Here's my quote, is that you're all wired for success, but programmed to fail. You're wired for success and programmed to fail. You see, because who wired you? Who is your creator? Not that I'm here to preach. I'm just saying, right, that if you're a person of faith, that somebody upstairs, you're in his image, but you're programmed to fail. Right? Because you got broke people telling you what to do, right? And so then guess what? You have a job, and then guess what? You go out there and you read some books, you're like, oh, I'm going to start a business. No, you didn't start a business. You're self-employed. You now own a job, right? You own a job, and now you're working 90, 100 hours a week here, and you make the same as much money as you did as an employee. So what do? You go back to your JOB, okay? So this is what we call active income. This is where you're exchanging time for money. Don't exchange time for money. That's not how you're going to become what? Rich. Folks, you're going to make a living, but you won't become rich. If you want to become rich, you got to start a business, and you got to have systems. You got to have people working for you. You see, this is where you get residual income, residual. And then down here is passive income. So where you make your money make money for you, right? This is passive. Okay, well, let's take this and let's put it in a different perspective or context for you. Okay, so if you're in this E quadrant up here, you're in the administration business, right? You're the one who's copying and faxing and calling companies when they're going to issue the policies, outstanding requirements. You're in the admin business. Okay, then guess what? If you go down here and you're writing business all the time, now folks, there's nothing wrong with writing a little bit of business every single month. But if that's all you're doing, that's personal activity, you're not building a business. You're a salesperson in your own company. Okay, that's personal activity, self-employed. Now, when you go over here and start building a big base shop, a big super base, a big super team, and you're now getting into the override business, that's residual income, people. That's residual. See, Dan Charlier started in the roots, right? He built a base shop, a big base shop. He did the dirty, right? He went and did the KTPs. kitchen table presentations. You know, I sit here and think about this today now, where we are. Let me just tell you, Dan and I, we built it the hard way. Seriously. I mean, I just can't imagine with all this technology we got going today, we did it the hard way. Then you guess what? The I quadrant is our renewals. It's the trails. It's the bonus pools. It's the stock options. It's all those kind of things. Again, where do you want to be? In the B and the I quadrant, not in the admin and not down here in personal activity. Okay? There you have it. Passive and residual. Okay? Would you guys stop thinking about a job? Or you keep on saying to yourself that this doesn't work, I'm going to go back to my job. No, that's your problem right there. You've already given yourself a second option. There is no plan B. There's only plan A. Plant your flag. That's the problem with most of us in this business. Is like, if this doesn't work out, I'll just go back to nursing. If this doesn't go back, I'll just go back to a company and what? And so that you could be what? Let me just tell you something. I thought we abolished slavery, right? Didn't we abolish slavery? But guess what? We have legalized slavery now. It's called a job, right? You let your employer control you like a little puppet, right? They tell you when you can go to the bathroom. They tell you when you can take a vacation. They even dictate your what? Your income. I can't imagine another man or a person or a woman controlling my paychecks. Okay? All right. Well, I hope I'm getting underneath your skin just a little bit right now. So, B plus. It's not B plus. It's B positive. Be positive, people. I think a lot of people right now need a blood transfusion, right? To be positive. You know? My God, you have a choice to either become positive or negative. Isn't it? Look at this, right? You can negative everywhere and then wonder why you have a trashy life. Okay? I mean, just think about that for a second, right? You got to be positive. You got to go out there and plant great seeds, right? Always what? Be nice to people, right? Always be considerate. Are you one of those drivers where someone signals to make a lane change, you speed up and you cut them off, even though it's a parking lot? Like, are you serious? Like, how much further are you going to go ahead? Why don't you just become more considerate, right? And just let them in. Let me just tell you something. You know what I learned? Is if I go out there and I want somebody to get in front of me, they're making a lane change, here's what happens. I speed up, I cut them off, and now what do? Now they're pissed, right? Now they come up next to me. Now they give me a dirty look. Or in the world we live in today, they might even pull out a gun and shoot me, right? Or guess what? They give me the finger, don't they? Right? And now you guys have a little road rage. All because why? Because you didn't want to let somebody in your lane. Are you serious? You know what I found? I found out that if I stop and I wave to them and I go, yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you with me? I put on my hazard lights. The car's behind me and let this car get in front of me. All of a sudden, they wave at me. They go like this. They say like this. They go like this. Are you with me? And you know what? I also feel good because I felt like I did something nice that day. It takes more energy to be a jerk on the road than to be nice. And then you wonder why you're always stressed out, right? It's because look at what you're doing every day. Just be more considerate to people. All right. And then stop making excuses, right? Look, oh my God. The reasons that you're not pursuing your goals, you're not acting on your plan, you're not making progress to your dreams is because your excuses is stronger than your belief in your dreams. Okay? So let me just tell you this right now. Your dreams have to be bigger than your excuses and your fear. You know what fear stands for? F-E-A-R. Anybody have an idea? Let me tell you what it stands for. It stands for feeling excited and ready. Okay? Right? That's what my definition of fear is. And then next, I was loyal. I'm loyal to the company. I'm not going to go look at some other company. I plant my flag here, right? I'm not going to go look at another woman. I'm not going to look. I just don't even want to put myself in that situation, right? So I was loyal. I'm loyal to the company. I planted my flag here. People say, yeah, but you know that other company, John, they have a higher payout, or they got this, or they got, well, great. I'm loyal. I'm not going nowhere. I planted my flag with WFG, and that's period. Yeah, but John, you know, some of your people left and went somewhere else. Yeah, you know what? Loyalty is expensive. I don't expect it from cheap people, folks. Okay? So let me just tell you, if they want to pack up their shit and go, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Okay, it's not a revolving door. Sayonara, amigo. I wish you all the best. All right? Now, let me ask you guys all a question. You ever think about what you think about? Yeah, that's like a dream inside a dream, isn't it, right? Do you ever think about what you think about? Just think about that. Well, let me just tell you, y'all know what TFA stands for? TFA? You don't? Transamerica Financial Advisors? Nope. Well, it does, but that's not my meaning. Okay, let me tell you what TFA stands for. TFA says this: whatever you think about, whatever your thoughts are up here, your mind, will affect the way you feel. And the way you feel will determine your actions. Your actions will determine your what? Your results. And your results are most definitely predicated on your what? Thoughts. So what do you think about every day? You think about negativity, what do you expect to come into your life? Negativity, right? If you think positive things, helping people, making a difference, making a contribution, guess what? I feel good every single day. And when I feel good, I do good, right? And when I do good, the results come back. Hey, listen, folks, no matter what I say sometimes, some of you guys are going to quit. But let me just tell you, if you're going to quit, can you do this? Watch, listen, pay attention. If you're going to quit, because the difference between you and me and Charlie A is me and Charlie A, we never quit. We're not quitters. But if you are going to quit, do this. Quit making excuses, okay? Quit blaming everybody else. Quit being lazy. Quit waiting for the right time. Quit going on vacations you can't afford. Quit buying shit every day you don't need. You understand that? And most importantly, quit quitting. How's that sound? Oh, damn. I'm telling you, right? You're like, okay, that was a mic drop. Yeah, it was, okay? Not literally, but I'm just saying. Okay, look, guys, if you didn't come from a rich family, so what? Have a rich family come from you. Are you with me? This is your moment. This is your, holy crap. There's a lot of stuff you guys could have been doing on a Saturday, Sunday afternoon, right? You could have been what? You could have been out. You could be watching the news. You could be watching all that crap. You know, which side do you want to listen to? You want to watch Fox News? Well, they take one side. All right, MSNBC takes the other side. CNN, I don't know what side they got, right? So what? You're telling me that you need somebody to go on the news to tell you how you feel about politics? You know who you want to vote for. You know how. Go make your own decisions. Does that make sense? Don't let people influence you like that. You want to vote for Biden? More power to you. Make your decision. You want to vote for Trump? Do it. But don't let people in the media influence you. Does that make sense? You're a grown boy. You're a grown woman. Go make a decision, right? You know what you got to do. Okay? And you have every right to vote the way you want to vote. Okay? That's my 2 cents on politics. These politicians. You know what poly is, right? Well, you know what a tick is, right? A tick is a blood-sucking leech, right? It's a blood-sucking, it's a blood-sucking insect. Poly is more than one. Yeah, these are blood-sucking leeches, right? Seriously, oh my God. Freaking losers. Hate politics. I mean, just think about this for a second. Should I be nice or should I be an ass? I wonder what's going to make me more popular, right? Are you with me on that? Should I hate people or should I be kind and love people? I mean, you know, some of this stuff is just so common sense to me. It's like, God. Anyway, so let me just tell you this. During a time of quarantine, okay, you should right now, what? If you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill or a new knowledge or a new side hustle or a new business, guys, you didn't lack time. You lacked what? The 3D. You lacked desire. You lacked dreams. You lacked discipline, man. What do you mean time? Oh, I got to talk. I need to think about it. I need to what? Think about being rich and becoming financially free and taking care of your family? You got to think about that? Seriously? Put your big boy pants on, right? You got to talk to your brother-in-law? Why? Oh, you know, like I had somebody said to me one time, I got to talk to my brother-in-law. Why? Oh, because he helps me make all my financial decisions. Oh, wow, really? Okay, hold on a second. I reached into my pocket, I pulled out a $100 bill. And I said, I asked you a question. Hey, do you have a dollar bill on you? The guy goes, yeah, and he pulls out a dollar bill. I said, great, I got a question for you. I'm gonna give you this $100 if you give me the dollar right now. Will you do that? The guy goes, of course. I go, oh, so you do make financial decisions on your own. You didn't need to talk to your brother-in-law for that, did you, right? Why? Because you saw the value. Duh! Right? Oh my God, you have to talk to your brother-in-law about that? Seriously, you dumbass? Like, are you kidding me? That's the thing. It's like people just, oh my God. Have some faith in your decisions, okay? Stop being bitter and get better, okay? Oh yeah, this is Governor Newsom's fault, right? It's Trump's fault. It's Biden's fault. It's Obama's fault. It's everybody's fault, really? What'd you do for the last 50 years of your life? Right? I mean, really? Okay, yeah, nothing, all right? So stop being better and get better. Now, today, this weekend, make a what? Decision. So let me just tell you, it's not just a revolution, but there's got to be an evolution. You got to evolve, right? And why should companies evolve? Okay, number one is to what? Stay relevant. Number two is to be innovative, to stay competitive. That's how you evolve, right? WFG is not going to be bitter. They're not going to go, oh, there's some other company, they created this. So if they could do it, we could do it. Does that make sense, right? We're just going to be more superior in every level than every other company. Why? Because we got the money to do it, okay? We do. We've got the deep pockets. Are you kidding me? They go, oh, you know what's crazy is there's a company out there called PHP, and then there's another one called PFS, and then there's another one called PFA. Are these people so stupid they can't even start a company with another letter other than P? Are you freaking kidding me? What happened to the other alphabet letters? They all got to copy each other and go P, P, P? What the hell is wrong with these people, right? Oh, my Lord. Okay, well, moving on. All right, here we go. So here's the, let me get a little like scientific on you, right? So Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, are you with me on that? Says that organisms equipped with characteristics best suited to their environment are most likely to what? Survive, right? That same reasoning, right, applies to what? Business, okay? So let me just tell you, if you take this theory of evolution and evolving, Darwin's theory to evolution, then he makes it very clear the need to embrace what? New technological change, okay? We are in that era today where we must embrace, not think about, we must embrace technological change. Organisms not equipped with suitable technological attributes will become extinct, okay? And that's why a lot of companies today, they're now what? They're becoming extinct. In the evolving landscape that we are in today, these Generation X and Generation Y, are you with me on that? The digital dinosaur companies will then become extinct and struggle to compete. Because the Generation Y and the Generation Z think a little bit differently, okay? Let's talk about the millennial market here for a second, everybody. These millennials were born between 1980 and 1995, okay? They're not young anymore, Don't discount how smart these millennials are. They're a lot smarter than you think that we sometimes give them credit for. So let me just say, they're not only at the very heart of our customer pool, okay, where we need to go and sell them term life and IULs and mutual funds and Roth IRAs, but they also account for the most mobile and most ambitious portion of our workplace today. These millennials are going to become our next generation of recruits. They are. So shouldn't we really understand what it is that millennials like and want? How do we sit there and go, oh, those stupid millennials? That is such a crazy thing to say, right? It very, like, you know, so millennials have now grown up with technology, so we call them tech-savvy kids. Think about it. Man, we give these little kids, you know what? I was giving my little kids when they were growing up, and I can tell you what my mom gave me. My mother gave me a little rubber ducky. That was what I got to play with. Are you with me on that? A little rubber ducky, okay? I got a little thing from Toys R Us, right, that I got to play with, a little Superman doll. You know what we're giving our little 1-year-old, 2- and 3-year-olds now? An iPad. Think about it. You go to a place, you ever seen a little 2-year-old with an iPad, like a full-blown what? iPad. It's crazy, okay? So let me just tell you, millennials are quick, they're efficient with procedures, okay? They're driven by email, they're driven by social networks, and they're driven by database, okay? So we got to accept it. It's here. It's now. All right? And so companies that fail to take all these modern tools, where they streamline these processes, will what? Struggle to recruit and retain to these millennial people. All right? That's what we got to do. And that's what I want to do. Because I want you to know, millennials are very, very ambitious, as I said, okay? They're not like the baby boomers. See, baby boomers were lifers. You know what I mean when I say lifers? They went to one company and worked there for 30 years of their life and they never left, okay? Seriously, they just stayed there. This is it. I'm going to be clocking in and clocking out for the rest of my life. Not millennials, right? They're not comfortable with sitting around and doing nothing in the same old every day. Millennials, right? They're comfortable moving from one job to another, one company to another, right? They need constant what? Change. They want maximum growth. They want unlimited potential. Okay, and where can they go other than WFG to go and find that opportunity where every day there's something different? Every day the sky's the limit. Are you with me on that? And how much money you want to make. There's no what? Ceiling. Whereas in corporate America it is. That's why so many millennials are now going and starting their own podcast stations. They're starting their own e-commerce businesses, right? The thing is, they're in the wrong business, though. They need to get into the financial service business. It's a different working world, right? So millennials have also different views on their work and life balance than previous generations, okay? Are we experiencing an earthquake over here? Huh? Oh, sorry guys. It's interesting, you know, we live in California, right? And so all of a sudden it's like stuff was rocking over here. And I'm like, are we going through an earthquake? So anyway, different world. Yeah, it is. Anyway, so just on a side note, not to digress, but can you guys imagine last night, one of my kids went outside and they said, there's water gushing out of the garage. Like it's just pouring out. We're like, what? So we go into the garage and I've got 2 water heaters in there and they both exploded in my garage, right? So I got 2 water heaters with like water just going everywhere. And we had to move all our cars out of the garage and it was just a crazy thing. We had to figure out how to turn off the damn water in the house. So we've had no hot water in our house all day. And then while that was happening, I guess the water did something and it basically fried my a part of my house. So there's no electricity. It literally like caught on fire. This all happened last night. It's crazy. So we called these plumbers to come and replace our water heaters today. And they can't find any water heaters. Like no one's got water heaters. So now we got no water heaters. And then finally my kids find a Home Depot that has one, and then another Home Depot. It's like 2 hours away that has another one. So we had to go get U-Hauls today, 2 different U-Hauls go send them to 2 different Home Depots. We get all this stuff. We bring it to the house. Now we have to go and hire a plumber, and all these plumbers don't have time to fix our water heaters. So now my kids are going, well, we can fix it, Dad. So now they're on YouTube trying to figure out how to learn how to do water heater. Isn't that the coolest thing, right? God, man, that's why we just got to send our children to YouTube University, right? Because now guess what? One of my water heaters is already up. The second one is already up. And now they're just putting all the lines together. And so in one day, my kids have now learned how to put up 2 water heaters because I got no plumbers, right? I mean, they don't have time. They said they can't come until Wednesday or Friday next week. Are you kidding me? So today, to jump on this, Dan, for you guys, I've been wearing a baseball cap all day, sweating bullets. I had to go and take a cold shower. And man, I'm telling you, I was like, damn, I'm awake. So you guys are like, what's John on? I just took a cold shower. Are you with me on that? And you know what it did? It reminded me, it took me back 25 years when I didn't have gas in my apartment because I couldn't afford it, right? So I remember taking cold showers. So all of a sudden, it's like the little things. So let me just tell you something, right? If you have hot water right now, you're rich. Does that make sense? No, I'm serious. You are rich. If you got a water heater in your house, you are rich. Because 25 years ago, I had a water heater, but I didn't have hot water. I couldn't even afford gas. So I didn't even have, I'm like, what do I need gas for? All the gas is going to do is what? I had an electric igniter for my stove. And the only thing the gas did was to give me hot water. So I never took, for about 7 months, I never took a hot shower. I always had a cold shower. And so I kind of remember that today. And then all of a sudden, my house started rocking right now. All right, here we go. Back to this. So let's see here. So what's on the sidelines? What's waiting on the wings? Well, we just talked about the millennials. Now we got the Generation Z. Hot on the heels of the millennials is the Gen Zs. It's crazy. Even the Gen Zs, they're the new kids on the block, aren't they? Have you noticed that, right? They're the new kids on the block. You ever heard that song? New Kids, or that group? New Kids on the Block? Okay. And I thought millennials, the Gen Zs, is now looking to work for employers that have a strong vision. So let me just tell you, what kind of vision do you have right now? Okay? Because they're looking at your vision. Okay? The Gen Zs also prioritize businesses offering opportunities for growth. So let me just tell you, when I'm talking to a Gen Z, I talk about, man, it's like our company is constantly making us grow. Just when we get to CEO, the company creates another level called an EVC. I'm like, what? Like, we just got here, man. We're CEO. Now they're EVCs. Then we get to EVCs, and then they create another one. Actually, before that, some of you guys are new. Dan and I, we went from CEO, and then we went to field vice chairman. It was another position. Right, and then we went from field vice chairman to senior vice chairman, right? And then we went from senior vice chairman to senior executive vice chairman, right? I mean, it's like crazy. They keep on making more titles, and now they got a new one called executive chairman, right? So now what's after that? Is there another title above executive chairman? I mean, I hope that are you going to become the super galactic chairman? I mean, I don't know. I mean, but studies show, guys, that the Gen Z are much more entrepreneurial than even the millennials. Why do you think that is? You know why? Let me just tell you. Because they've seen their siblings, right? They're like they've seen other people be in business, okay? And so they're also very entrepreneurial. My youngest one, her name is Jenna. She's extremely entrepreneurial. She's already saying, Dad, can I start a podcast show? And then I can charge people for advertising to be on my show. I'm like, what? Yeah, $5,000 to have a few minutes of commercial on my show. I'm like, what? It's crazy. And she's 16 years old. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Okay? So they've lived in this environment. They're watching all this happen. So as we talked about the Darwinism, right? How it explains its best saying, it is not the strongest species that survives, nor is it the most intelligent, but it's the one that's most responsive to change. Okay? So you all got to get ready to change. You got to make some decisions right now. Okay? So this is why, everyone, I went out there and wrote a book. It's warm, okay? I wrote a book. This is like the new business card, okay? This is like the new thing that gives you some sort of authority, right? Is to have a book. Write a book. And if you want to know how to write a book, or maybe I'll do just a little separate thing, Dan, for just you and your team, because I can give you all the history about writing a book, all the ins and outs. And everybody's all liars. I learned how to write a book and get it out into the mainstream, right? To the fact that I made it into all the Barnes & Noble and all the airports across the country. I made a movie. I started a podcast show, right? So, and then I had a title on it. And so here's one of my podcast shows, Dan Charlier, right? From Marine Corps to multi-millionaire, right? And now I'm going to go and I'm going to target using that podcast. I'm going to go out there and start targeting Marine Corps people, right? Because there's a way to do that. Think about how many people that are in the military, Navy, Army, Air Force, National Guard, how a Marine Corps went to multi-millionaire, right? I'm going to leverage that, right? And then I started a YouTube channel, right? Now I got my podcast and that's on my YouTube channel. And then I charge people to advertise on my YouTube. I charge people now to be on my podcast, right? And then all those people, guess what? I'm going to go sell them all a business life insurance policy, a key man, an executive bonus plan, a split dollar plan, right? You see how I'm evolving right now? You see how I'm not being bitter, but I'm getting better? See, I want you to know that God created all of you right now to stand out. Why are you trying to fit in? Okay? You're trying to be like everybody else. Don't be a Kardashian. There's already lots of Kardashians. Just be you. Are you with me on that? Just be you. You know, they say that past performance is not indicative of future performance. Man, you need to memorize that so you can always repeat that to your spouse. You know, you're going to say, hey, past performance is not indicative of my future results. I'll get better. Promise, I won't be bitter, honey, okay? But this is why you got to evolve. Are you with me on that? Is you got to get what? You got to do better than you did in the past. So you got to go through a transformation, everyone. Go through a transformation. So that transformation is finding great people, okay? Now, a lot of you guys right now, you need to start getting rid of those toxic people out of your life, right? You've heard that from so many people. Get rid of all those dull, disillusioned, dadgum crybabies, okay? Well, people said, John, how do I do that? It's really simple. You change your voicemail greeting. John, I don't understand. Oh, yeah, just change your voicemail greeting. What do I say? I'll tell you what to say. Here's what you say. Ready? This is what you're going to do to your voicemail greeting. Hi, I'm making some changes in my life. If you don't hear from me, you're one of them. There you go. That's what you say on your voicemail greeting, right? Get rid of those toxic people out of your life, right? The ones that aren't serving you. And then you surround yourself with some great people. I want you to start finding some great customer solutions. I want you to go and get customer centricity, right? Focus on your what? Your customers. You know, the thing is, you guys are all customers now of WFG. You guys understand that? See, all of you guys are actually customers of WFG. WFG's got to start what? Stepping up their game, okay? So what I mean that is unless we can support you at the company level and helping you guys embrace Salesforce, right? Campaign Manager. You guys ever heard of those things on your on my WFG? Are you with me on that? Then guess what? Then we're not getting innovative. I'm surprised. Like I use Campaign Manager every day. Love Campaign Manager. Have you guys done that yet? Have you even created your own website? You realize that today, that when you go out there and you introduce yourself to somebody, guess what they're saying? What's your name again? And they're already Googling your name. What will they find about you on Google? Okay, because you all need a website right now. And do you know that you can build your own website on MyWFG? Did you know that? It's included. It's free. It doesn't cost any money, right? And then guess what? Then you can create one that's outside your financial business. But right now you need to stay focused. Okay, you know, I hear a lot of people say, you got to have multiple streams of income. You know, they're like, oh, look at Mark Wahlberg, look at Jennifer Lopez. They got all multiple streams of income. Yeah, but okay, don't take that too literally. Okay, here's the truth. All those people that say they have multiple streams of income, they focused on one stream of income first. So like a lot of you guys are like, but look at John Shin. He's got his business and this, and he's got so many streams of income. Yeah, but that's 25 years later. See, when I first started WFG, I was focused on just what? One business, and it was WFG. I didn't go into real estate. I wasn't in notary. I wasn't doing loans. I was focused at what? WFG. This was it. There was no other what? Song, no other dance that I danced or sang. I sang WFG, I danced WFG. But guess what? Later, after I made money, then I started what? And I had 7 figures saved. That's when I started exploring other things that I can invest into. But for you guys right now, you need to stay laser focused on one thing. Don't go get yourself diluted in too many things. Does that make sense? I hope that helped you understand. So let me just tell you, all these companies out there, they got it all screwed up. They go out there and they spend $100, let's say, in marketing, right? Sales and customer service, but most companies max out, right? Their marketing and sales dollars and spend the least on customer service. See, this is where they got it all screwed up right now. See, right now, guys, let me just say, you want to be innovative, you want to be on the cutting edge, you want to evolve, treat your customers right? And every new recruit you get, have you noticed, like right now, when you go to, do you even want to buy anything at a retail store? Why would you? Have you guys ever been into a Best Buy? It's like the most miserable experience to go in there and you ask somebody, hey, what's the benefit of this computer? I don't know. Did you Google it yet? Well, then what the hell am I doing in here for? I might as well just what? Buy it online. Hello? Yes? No? Right? I mean, it's like, well, like which drill is better than the other? I don't know. Did you YouTube it yet and see which ones all those what reviews say? Well, then what am I buying it for? For you, I might as well just buy it online. Have you guys ever called customer service before? Like Dell Computers or HP, right? It's like, thank you for calling Dell Computers. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it now. For Inspirion Computers, press 1. For desktop, press 2. For notebook computers, press 3. 3, beep, right? If you're calling from the United States, press 1. If you're calling from Canada, press 2. 1, beep, right? In about 30 minutes of this, they go like this. Thank you for calling, but our office is now closed. You're like, what the hell? You want to pick up that stupid thing and throw it across the room. You're like, you stupid piece of shit, computer. I hate Dell. I hate Dell. I hate Dell. Has that ever happened to anybody? Come on, right? That's what I'm talking about. Customer service. It's like, what the hell, right? So I want you to know that, listen, if you want to just be better than everybody else, that little extra customer service, going that little extra mile will make all the difference in the world for you, okay? So let me just tell you something. Evolving and transforming is a journey. There's no finish line. You don't go, oh, I just got here, I'm Gucci. Are you with me on that, right? You got to continue what? Growing. If you're not growing, you're dying, okay? You're stagnating, okay? So you got to keep on reinventing not just your business, but yourself. You got to get better. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 2 is you got to reinvent and extend your goals. What does your goals look like right now? Okay. See, a lot of you guys right now, you're like making $150,000 a year, $250,000 a year, and you think you're like, I'm good. I don't have to be coachable anymore. Are you kidding me? Right? I mean, $150,000, that's my property tax, man. What's wrong with you, right? I mean, Charlotte, you're like making $250 a year. You're like, I'm good. Man, that's what Charlotte makes a month, okay? So what, I mean, seriously, why would you not be coachable? I'm still coachable right now, right? I want to go make Rich Stolly's kind of income, okay? So I'm still coachable. And number 3 is you got to keep on reinventing your business, right? Not the system per se, but you got to go and start doing a few things differently now, okay? So think about Apple, right? If you look at Apple right now, computers, they were formed in 1976, okay? And this is like one of the best examples of a company that made innovation and evolution its identity. Okay, think about this. This was the very first Apple computer. Can you guys imagine this in 1976? Like, what the hell is that thing? Yeah, it's the Apple computer, right? And that thing, right, you guys, was like worth a fortune. A fortune, okay? And then guess what? In 2001, they went from a computer to this thing called an iPod. Do you guys even remember what an iPod is? It went to an iPod, right? You guys are, some of you guys are even so young, don't even know what that is, right? Because you weren't even born. So check this out, right? We had iPods. We're like, whoa, this is like the coolest thing. You see, Apple evolved, right? And then in 2007, you know what they did? They came out with this thing called an iPhone. And then you know what they did in 2017? They basically said no more iPods. Because then what did they do? They reinvented themselves, evolved, and now you got music in your phone. Why would you need to have a phone and an iPod? Are you with me on that, right? You can have one device that does everything. See, they evolved. Just think about this. What's the takeaway here? The takeaway, by the way, Apple's now the first company that has now got sales in the trillions now. First company to hit $1 trillion valuation. I mean, that's like unbelievable. How do you not go and study Apple Corporation, right? Just for that in itself. Have you guys ever called up the Apple Corporation and said, hey, I'd like to visit your campus? I did. I called them up like, hey, I'd like to come and check out your campus. I took several of my associates and my SMDs, and we did a little tour of Apple's headquarters. Okay, I want to know what their campus looks like. Have you ever done that? Why not? Have you gone to the Google campus in Northern California? I did. I want to know exactly what does their corporation look like? What's their culture look like? Why do people want to go and work at Google, right, and never leave? Okay, I want to know their secret. I want to be the next Google, right? So let me just tell you something. You got to start what? Seeing what's possible when innovation is your company's DNA. Okay, Apple had no business in music, yet they innovated what? They reinvented the entire music world. They had no business in the telecom space, yet they now what? Have iPhones, forever changed the telecom industry in our daily lives. Think about that. What did they do? They became a disruptor. I went to a networking meeting and someone said, John, what do you do? And I said, that's a really good question. You know what I do? I'm a disruptor. And they're like, oh, I'm all ears, right? Did I say I was in financial services? Nope, I just said I'm a disruptor. Let me just tell you something. Your entire product line with new and more versatile product line has to be a disruptor. Think about this. In 1995, you guys, I was selling VULs, right? It's an IUL, right? With no guarantees. We did, and then guess what? IUL was created, and then IUL, you guys with me? Added long-term care, chronic illness, disability, and now guess what Transamerica does? Transamerica comes out with all that, and they're the first company that adds a concierge service for funerals. Right? You see how they're constantly reinventing and evolving? And then you got a company called Kabbage. Anybody ever heard of a company called Kabbage? They were founded in 2008. It's a mere presence in, what do you call it? Whoops. Yeah. What they want to do is they provide capital for businesses, right? So then instead of going out there and filling out all this paperwork and all this stuff to get, and they want you to provide all these documents, Kabbage was the first company to roll out basically a fully automated lending program for a business that can get a loan up to $250,000, right? And so, like, you literally will go into Kabbage, right? Just fill in some information, and like they don't even need a whole bunch of documentation, and you can boom, you can get a loan for $250,000 right now, like literally right now. Okay, I mean, how crazy is it? And now this company has grown and grown and grown. And now guess what they did? Then they turned around and then they went to a company called Alibaba, right? Oh, what just happened? Am I missing that page? Okay, so then guess what Cabbage did? Cabbage went to Alibaba, right? Now, if you've heard of Alibaba, founded by Jack Ma, right? And by the way, what the heck? Jack Ma is the founder of Alibaba, and it's like the Amazon of Asia, right? And so what happened was they forged a relationship. They forged a relationship where now if you go to Alibaba, you click a few buttons, you can get an automatic approval to buy inventory up to $150,000 using Cabbage. So can you imagine they forged a relationship here? You see how they're what? They're evolving. So now guess what I'm doing? I asked the Napoleon Hill Foundation, hey, Napoleon Hill Foundation, I said, how big is your following? You know, how many followers do you guys have around the world? You know, they said, how many do you think? Because you can go to naphill.org, and then you can go to naphill.org, and then guess what happens? You can go into naphill.org and subscribe to their daily motivational quotes and their monthly newsletters. And so I said, how many followers do you guys have? And they're like, well, how many do you think you have? And I'm like, I don't know, 100 million, 50 million, 150 million, 200 million? They're like, John, our database is 1.4 billion followers. That's how many emails they have. I got a list of all their emails, 1.4 billion emails that they sent over to me. It took an entire day to download. Are you guys with me on that, right? This is what I'm talking about, how you got to go out there and forge a relationship, okay? And that's why you go out there and you meet other people, okay? Netflix is now a part of everybody's day. Think about this for a second. Netflix, okay? In 1997, Netflix had a market cap of 160 billion. They took out a company called Blockbuster. You guys remember that company, Blockbuster Video, right? So you guys are so young, you don't even know what that is, right? So they disrupted the video rental business by allowing customers to rent DVDs by email. I mean, not email, by mail. They would send it to you and let you keep it. And then in 2002, Netflix mailed around 190,000 discs per day. Can you guys imagine that? And then they had a subscription. So Netflix predicted that streaming videos would replace DVD players. And they were absolutely right. By 2011, they had 23 million subscribers, okay, in Netflix. See, they evolved. And then guess what they did? They started making their own content. Started not only making it, but now they owned the original TV series. They own their own films, right? So now they don't have to be dependent on all the studios. They make their own movies, okay? So again, they evolved again. They started all this. Can you imagine the evolution of this? So what's the big takeaway? Is that Netflix is a perfect example of a company that is disrupting itself in many, many different ways. And then you got Spotify. And I can go on and on and on. In 2008, most music consumers still bought and stored their own music files. By giving users access to over 40 million songs, Spotify supercharged the streaming market while fighting media piracy, okay? They said it was not doable, not possible. Yet they went in there. Spotify is now the music industry's single largest driver of revenue. Can you believe that? And so some of you guys are like, yeah, but I can't sing. I don't have a good voice. I don't, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? I recognize the power of Spotify. I reached out to Spotify, interviewed the people in the main corporation, the executive board, and I wanted to know more about what they're doing at Spotify. And that's when I started to learn about podcasting. You guys with me on that, right? So now I started my own podcast, okay? And evolved, because this is now where it's moving. You see, like the younger generation today, they want to know, what's your podcast? Do you have a podcast? If you don't have a podcast, you have no authority. What can you talk about on podcasts? Entrepreneurship, finance, money, all sorts of stuff, right? This is the day. So the only guarantee, you guys, in life is that things will change. That's the only guarantee. It's true with the evolution of species and in business, okay? So just like the complacent species in the animal kingdom, so will complacent businesses will go out of what? Business. They're going to become extinct. They're going to become like all these companies that are going under right now. It is time now for you guys, okay, for you to thrive. Because the only way you're going to thrive is you got to be willing to change, you got to be willing to evolve, and you got to be ready to embrace technology. I want to show you guys something here real fast. A couple of people said to me, John, what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now to go out there and meet people? Because obviously you cannot go prospecting, okay? You cannot go prospecting right now. So I want to show you guys a couple more slides to help you guys out as to where you can go and go prospecting. And yeah, I'm going to show you guys a couple things that should help you so you guys can go out there and do your own prospecting, because this is where I'm going now. Okay, this is what I'm doing to go out there and meet people. Okay, and so if you guys didn't know, let me just go over a couple of these slides real fast, okay? Because I'm running out of time and I don't want to take up Dan's time. So let me just get right to it. Share this with you guys here. Okay. All right, here we go. So right now, there are many ways that you guys can go out there and meet people. Okay, what's going on here? No. All right, here we go. So these are networking groups. So right now you can go into Facebook and then you can join what they call BNI. You can create your own virtual BNI chapter. Okay, you can go out there and create your own business mind group. So get this, I went into Facebook and I typed in Think and Grow Rich. And it turns out there's all these little subcategories or groups of Think and Grow Rich, like Think and Grow Rich Mastermind. And so I joined it. And so before they accept you to enter their group, they tell you to fill out your bio. So I typed in John Shin, right, executive producer of Think and Grow Rich, also the author of the modern day version of Think and Grow Rich, blah, blah, blah. And they immediately accepted me. And then they DM'd me and said, hey, we would like you to join our Our webinar, our own podcast. We've got, 4,000 followers in our group. Would you be willing to share your thoughts? And I was like, absolutely, as long as I can also share with them what I do. And they said, oh my God, absolutely. We want to know your secret, right? And so that now becomes a platform for me to do a corporate overview. Hello? Can y'all hear me? Yes? Right? Are you within the sound of my voice, right? Yeah, this is what I mean by evolving. Don't be bitter, get better, right? There's a group called LaTip. You can go into Women in Business Networking, right? So I joined Women in Business Networking, and people are like, why? I go, are you kidding me? Do you know how many powerful business women there are that I would love to go and network? So I joined them, right? And so they said, listen, we have never had a male, right, come and speak to a group of women, but we'd love to have you come in as a financial expert and talk about how money works. I was like, I thought you'd never ask. So I joined the Women's Business Networking. There's chambers of commerce, international chambers of commerce. There's the Center for Convention and Visitors Bureau. There's local merchant association. I just recently joined the Plumbers Association of California, okay? I joined the Contractors Association of California. I joined the Rotary. I joined the Kiwanis group. There's another one called the Optimist. I like that. I joined them. These are just a handful. Then guess what I did? I went and started downloading a bunch of apps on your phone, right? So I joined, there's an app called Meetup. There's an app called Shaper. Eventbrite, oh my God, like that is like the biggest secret ever, right? Is Eventbrite. LinkedIn, GroupMe, there's a thing called Bizaboo, right? There's a thing called Let's Lunch. It's called Summit Sync. There's another one called Nudge. Facebook events, Common Contact. Oh my God, prospecting is easy. You just haven't evolved. You're still going, I'm going to wait until we do live BPMs. What? Why? Reinvent yourself. Don't sit there and go, oh, pandemic. Oh, this is the cards. This is my life right now. Man, I'm telling you, business is amazing right now. Off the Richter scale. Off the scale. Are you guys listening? Are you processing this? This is like unbelievable, man. And you're like, oh. And you guys want to know what's really crazy about all this? Is I go out there and charge people thousands of dollars for this stuff. I kid you not. The other network marketing companies, other businesses, I charge them thousands of dollars. Like when I say thousands of dollars, like I charge a speaking fee, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. You know what's crazy? They pay me for this. And you guys are getting it for free. Why? Because you're in WFG. That's why. How awesome is that? Right? And the fact that you guys are part of Dan Charlier's team. I kid you not. I don't give all this content to anybody else's team, especially Eric Olson. Right? So here's the thing. I only give it to Dan Charlier because I love him like a brother from another mother. I'm serious. I swear, I love Dan Charlier like a brother from another mother. I really feel like we're like two guys separated at birth with a common goal. I've always said this to Dan. I said, man, between me and Dan, we can go conquer the world right now. It's like, you know, I'm serious. You guys are part of an awesome team. Seriously. Are you guys going to face rejection? Hell yeah, you guys are going to face rejection. Okay, let me just. There's a guy named Brian Acton. In 2009, he applied for work at Facebook and he was rejected. Okay, that same year, he went and created an app called WhatsApp, right? And then in 2014, just a few years later, he went back to Facebook and said, hey guys, I got an app called WhatsApp. You want to buy it? They paid him $19 billion. Hello, are you with me on that? So let me ask you guys all a question. The next time you're rejected, what are you going to do? Are you going to say, oh, this business isn't for me? Are you kidding me? Don't be Joe Green. Be Brian Acton. Are you with me on that? Seriously. You guys want to know what do you ever study poor people and rich people? I want to know what's wrong with poor people. You know what? I'll tell you what's wrong with poor people. It's an acronym. You know what POOR stands for? P-O-O-R? It stands for passing over opportunities repeatedly. It's like, this isn't for me. Okay, how about this? Nope, that's not it for me either. Nope, this is it. But I don't know why I'm broke and I'm poor and I got I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm stressed out. My health is deteriorating because you know why? What are you looking for, man? The answer is right there. You're a part of synergy, right? You've got the synergy. You've got WFG. You've got Transamerica. You got Aegon. Okay, we're all rooting for you. Okay, you're like, oh, but my best friends that won't cheer for me and support me. I'll cheer for you. I'll be your greatest cheerleader. I can't wait to see some of you guys walk across the stage because we will have a big national convention filling in arenas. And when that day comes again, I want to see you walking across that stage. I want you walking off that stage, taking photos, holding out a big-ass plaque, and letting the world know and every generation that's going to come from your family tree and your DNA that guess what? I did it. That's right. You did it because you got synergy. That's why you're a part of Synergy Financial, right? Let me just tell you, folks, time is not running out, but your life is, okay? Your life is. Time is ticking. Boom, 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 boom. What you going to do? Because now is the time to do, okay? So as I said, if you don't come out of this quarantine with new skills, knowledge, a side hustle, and a business, can't use that "I didn't have time" excuse anymore. Turn on your desire. Turn on your dreams. Turn on your discipline. You need to have a massive dose of discipline in you. And other than that, my time is up. You guys are amazing. God bless you guys. Be safe. Okay? And I promise you, all this pandemic stuff just made you stronger. It really did. Okay? When it all broke out, you sat there and said, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" Well, whether you think it's a pandemic or a plandemic, it doesn't matter. We all are what, right? We're all going through the same thing. The question is, what you going to do? What you going to do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, bad boys. Dan Charlier, you the man, brother. You know I love you like my brother.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Oh my God, you over-delivered. That's so awesome. We appreciate all the information you shared with us, man. You're just, you never seem to fail me, man. You're always taking it up a notch, and you just took it up 10 notches today. So super excited. Thank you. Enjoy your time with your family, and anything I can do to help you, just let me know. Okay. Thank you, John. Appreciate you, brother.
We'll see you, Dan.
All right.
Have a great
man.
one, you guys. Have a shintastic weekend.
All right, you guys. All right. This was just orientation, you guys. And I'll tell you, I'll jump into my, if we could pull up my presentation real quick. Hopefully you took a lot of notes tonight. But I want to share a couple of ideas with you guys. When we talk about, if you pull up my first page, if we talk about associations, right? And we think about, I want you to pay attention as you were sitting there tonight, and you were looking at, the different emotions. My daughter keeps coming in the room. She hears me, so she's curious. You want to say hi to everyone? She wants to play. She's been running around. So if you pay attention to the power of association, the power of a mastermind, right? And one of the things that's important for that is that, you know, you've heard me say all the time in WFG, there's two WFGs. There's the 20% that do 80% of the work, and the 20%ers, unless you've competed at a high level, and you got a chance to go to Hawaii, and you got a chance to go to one of the super trips, you never really get a chance to be in the room with the leaders that build super hierarchies and are super successful in WFG. You never get a chance to really get in their mindset. So one of the things that I wanted to do is that I remember someone asked me a question not too long ago, and they said, "Charlier, if you were going to do this all over again, what would you have done different and why?" And I used to answer that question by saying, I would have worked twice as hard up front, and I would have pushed all my chips in really quick. You know, I used to answer that. But I think for me now, if I was to do this all over again, I think because when we think about the power of identity, it's extremely important. If I was to do this all over again, I would have put myself around so many more winners, right? And one of the challenges, this school is going to be very different than Elite Circle. But, you know, I've got a lot of relationships in WFG. Obviously, I spoke to many teams and got really great relationships with all the different leaders. But I want to put you guys in a situation where iron sharpens iron, right? And the Growth Academy is whether you're a CEO, an EVC, a senior associate, a training associate, right? One of the things that I want you to harness is the power of growing, right? So at every level, you must grow. I'll give you an example. When I went to boot camp, in the oh man, wait till you guys see what I'm going to share with you guys at the end. Whew, man, fired up, dude. Oh man. Anyway, when I went to boot camp in the military, and I graduated boot camp, and I became a private. From private to lance corporal was really you pretty much were a follower, right? And you were a worker, you were a follower. But the first level of leadership, when you got promoted to corporal, which is E4, the Marine Corps automatically puts you to the first school of leadership called the corporal's course, right? Then once you got promoted to E5, which was a sergeant, then the Marine Corps puts you to another level of leadership called the sergeant's course. Then once you got promoted to E6, you became what they call a staff NCO, which was be equivalent to an executive market director. Then you went to the staff academy, right? Because it's a different level of leadership. Then once you got promoted to E7, which was a gunnery sergeant, then you went to another level of leadership school called the gunny school. Then you had two different promotions as E9. You had a master sergeant, which the master sergeant is that if you were going to stay in your MOS, MOS stands for Military Occupational Specialty, which means for me, I was a firefighter in the Marine Corps. So if I wanted to stay in my MOS, I would be promoted to a master sergeant, right? Or master gunnery sergeant, and I would stay in my MOS as an expert in my MOS. Now, if you wanted to be more of a field Marine, then you would get promoted to first sergeant and sergeant major, and those are as you really that are in the combat that in combat field, and to report directly to the commanding officer, directly to the president, things of that nature, right? Here's my point. My point was there were different levels of leadership at every aspect of your growth, right? And one of the things that I've always considered with WFG is that, you know, some of your training associates, senior associate, some of your associates, some of you are MDs, some of you are SMDs. And one of the things that I think that, you know, and I've spoke to WFG about this before several times. And actually, you know, Marlette and I were talking about it, and Marlette was like, you know what, Charlier, just do your own deal. I mean, just do your own deal, and don't wait for the company to do it. But now that I'm on the chairman's board with WFG, that's one of the things that I'm going to be talking to the company about and pushing it. Because if we believe that everything falls and rises on leadership, right? And one of the reasons that we get stuck at where we're at is because we don't get a chance to, we don't get an opportunity to associate. Now, you've heard it 1,000,001 times, right? But if you really looked at who are the people that I'm spending the most amount of time with, and if you really looked at, well, even though I've heard it 1,000,001 times, what are the blocks that I have that's stopping me from doing that, right? So when you look at association, you look at iron sharpens irons, intent of bringing receiving value, seeks to stretch your thinking, activate your insight by engaged listening, bring positive energy, and lift your mentors up, right? So what you got a chance to experience is within the last 2 hours is you got a chance to room. Sometimes a lot of times you got to be in a hallway. You got to figure out what hallway to be in, and you can't get in the room if you're not in the hallway, right? So what we decided to do, our leadership team, is we decided to create this kind of environment virtually. It was very hard to do it before because trying to pull all the leaders to come out to our events and speak and all of that stuff. But in the virtual world, that's totally doable, right? So here's some pictures of different places around the world that these associations, these conversations were happening. Identity stretching conversations where iron sharpens iron. So that's going to come into your living room right now. And I don't want to wait for you in January and February of 2021 to qualify for Hawaii to have access to that, right? So let's go to the next page. So if you look at that, this is cool stuff, right? Some of you were here. I think Schleiman and Michelle was on this trip. Paul and Miriam was on this trip. We actually went to, this is when we were in Vienna. And this was a super trip that WFG did. You see John Shin there. You see Johnny, Miriam. You see Raja there. You see Sean Villalobos and all the different leaders. Imagine this, you guys. And this is what we talk about, right? Like, even if you have money, it's very hard to create these kind of environments. One of the biggest challenges that when you become successful, when you become financially independent, most people don't have the time to do the things that you're able to do. Very few people can travel around the world at any time that they want. But it's very different. Obviously, you guys know I love to travel. My wife and I love to travel. But let me tell you something. It's something totally different when you have like-minded people. I want you to think about this, right? We're leaving our hotel in Vienna, and we have a horse carriage ride, right? And WFG blocked out the Hofburg Palace in Vienna. Like, we had the entire palace to ourselves. And you ever seen those back in the day where they used to have these big balls, right? We had a big ball. All the ladies had their dresses that was specially tailored to them, right? And we had our own orchestra in there, and we just had an amazing time with like-minded people. See, I want you to know that in your future, you're going to experience these things. As you hear John Shin speak just now, here's what you need to know. He started with $100 and a membership agreement at a time in our business that, basically when he got started, none of the things that exist now were available back then, right? So what does that mean for you, right? What does that mean for you? If you're here 5 years from now, if you're here 10 years from now, if you're here 15 years from now, if you're here 20 years from now. The John Shin that you just heard is not the John Shin that I knew as an SMD. He's constantly evolved, constantly grow, constantly got better, right? But the conditions that you guys have right now, you guys, do you know how much more of an advantage that you have, right? So if you can harness that and you have some vision of, man, you got a snapshot of what your life can look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, if you're in the game long enough. But it doesn't have to be that hard if you can surround yourself with the right people to help shape your thinking, right? Which is very powerful. Go to the next slide, right? So stretching your leadership identity, right? We're going to talk about stretching. A lot of times we talk about identity, but there's a difference in leadership identity, right? So the first one is growth stretch, right? There's a better way. Why should we go back to the old normal, new possibilities? Everyone and everything can be improved. Daily improvement, possibility mindset, right? You got a chance to see some of that, right? The growth stretch. and ask yourself a question. From a scale of 1 to 10, from a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing in my growth right now? Right? And what am I doing to stretch my leadership identity? Let's go to number 2. The second one I want you to look at and take a picture of is this: creative stretch. You got a chance to see that, right? You got a chance to get some ideas and go, oh my God, I never thought about that. It never struck me to join all those groups. Never struck me that I can prospect that way, right? There's always an answer, normally more than one answer. Have curiosity and passion to discover the answers. Answers are outside of your comfort zone. What are you learning that you didn't know before the pandemic, right? What are you learning that you didn't know before the pandemic, right? Now, from a scale of 1 to 10, from a scale of 1 to 10, what we're going to activate is your creative stretch, right? Now, what do I mean by your creative stretch? Well, before you got into this class, most of you didn't even think about that stuff, right? Well, let me ask you a question. As a leader, you have to have a creative stretch, right? So we're going to activate that part of your mind where you don't have to wait for someone else to give you an idea. You are now creating those ideas. You follow me? That's an area for growth. Let's look at the next one. The next one is intentional stretch, right? Stretching your leadership identity intentionally. Now, most of you, all of you that are in the Growth Academy right now, at least the orientation aspect of it, one of the things that I said at the full-timers meeting, I said, those of you, right, those of you that have a desire to grow are welcome to attend the Growth Academy. One of the reasons I use that language is that, and one of the reasons that you're on here today is because you're intentional about stretching your leadership identity, right? You're being intentional about growth. And some of you that are leaders, not only are you intentional, not only are you here, but you were super smart because you mobilize your team to this, right? Now, as you were listening today, right, some of you were thinking, oh my God, I had no idea it was going to be this good. I wish I would have enrolled more of my teammates to the Growth Academy. Now, I'm going to tell you this. By the time I'm done, you guys, you're going to slap yourself so much that you didn't mobilize more people on here. You're going to be like, oh my God, I had no idea. I cost myself so much money by not having more of my teammates grow through this. And we're going to talk about the blocks that you might have on why, right? Bridge between intentions and actions. Becoming intent, take you out of automatic comfort zone, easy, don't have to initiate, lack of focus, miss opportunities, no change, lack of energy, don't have to think, and not contagious. Intent takes away sense of entitlement, raises humility, increases confidence, and increase value, right? Intentional stretch, right? Number four we're going to look at is your thinking stretch. Let me make sure I'm good on my notes here. Okay, your thinking stretch. Shared thinking gives better perspective. Sustaining thinking gives deeper perspective. I'm not going to allow the thinking of the masses, scarcity, negative, and fearful invade my mind. I choose to reframe from it, not deny it. I don't allow the media to control our situation. People are measured by the size of their thinking, right? Now you think about that. From a scale of 1 to 10, from a scale of 1 to 10, how's your thinking stretch? All right, we're going to talk about that. See, these are all things that you can learn if you're growing. See how much there's a lot of different areas for you to grow in, right? Because as you grow yourself, there's a saying that said, if you give me 10 hours to chop down a tree, I will spend 8 hours sharpening my saw, right? Well, first you got to know, where is my saw, right? Second, you got to know, well, why would I be sharpening my saw versus just chopping down the tree, right? Then you have to realize that, you know what? I could be chopping down the tree and working really hard and not realizing that the blade on my axe is dull and I'm not smart enough or I'm not conscious enough to sit down and sharpen that saw. See, as leaders, and all of you are leaders, as leaders, here's what I want you to know. See, in the evolution of building your company, I want you to imagine this. You have a machete, and you're chopping down trees and making a path, right? But as a leader, here's what you got to make sure that you do. You got to make sure at some point you climb the tree. You make sure you climb a tree. You make sure that you're heading in the right direction, right? Then come down and continue your path. Some of the times what we do as leaders, right, because we don't have a thinking stretch, is we have our heads down and we lack vision and we forget where we're going. So we stop communicating to our team, right? Here's the next one. The next one is perspective stretch. There is no finish line. So when people say to me, hey, Charlier, when are you going to retire? It's not even in my mind. There's no finish line. I will expire, not retire. Why? Because this is my passion. This is what I love to do. This is my purpose, right? There's no finish line. See the big picture beyond the pandemic. Allow you to soar above others' thinking and actions. How you view things is how you do things. How long will it take versus how far can I go? You've heard me say, we've turned the pandemic into a paydemic. That's a perspective stretch. That's a perspective stretch, right? The next one is this. When stretching your leadership identity, there's goal focus and there's growth focus. So we're going to be growth focused here. Goal focus is finish line mindset, deadlines, time limit, not much more I can do. Whatever I'm doing is not bigger than me. How far can I grow? Growth focus, no finish line, development focus, no limits. There's so much more I can do. Everything I do is bigger than me. All right? Now, next, the question is not, when is this situation going to be over? The question is, how am I growing now? How am I growing now? See how we're reframing the question that you ask yourself, right? Sometimes we ask ourselves certain questions that they bring, what's the right word that I'm looking for? Certain questions that we ask ourselves automatically puts us in a bad state, drops our vibration. And certain questions that we ask ourselves also brings us in a high vibrational state, right? So if I'm asking myself, how am I growing right now? Right. So one of the things that I think our team, when I say our team, I'm talking about Synergy Financial collectively as a whole. One of the things that we did is right when the pandemic hit, we didn't burp, we didn't flinch, we adapted, we adapted, we improvised really quick, right? And we went straight to the virtual platform, right? So now, for you, as you're sitting here tonight, you've separated yourself from everyone else in the hierarchy, right? How am I growing now, right? And we're gonna cover what that means. Okay, go to the next one. So, most important long-range tasks: finding, mentoring, and promotion of future leaders. Number 1, identify. Number 2, believe in. 3, create an environment. This is going to be an environment for you guys. 4, nurture. 5, equipping. Outside of WFG, 50% of leaders grow themselves and only 5% build the next leaders. Right? So, as a team, if we're planning to have, I think we have 250 SMDs now. We have a couple of CEOs, and we have a couple of EVCs and 2 SEVCs, right? But we have like 250 SMDs, right? So when you look at the promotion guidelines, why are so many people stuck at SMD? Why are there not more SMDs going to EMD, EMDs going to CEO, CEOs going to EVCs, EVCs going to SEVCs? Why do we have so many people at 100,000 and then so many people at $250,000, so many people at $500,000, so many, but we should all be progressing through all those ranks, including myself, right? So now I want you to think about this, right? The associations that you're going to have in Growth Academy is just as good for me as it is for you. You realize in this Growth Academy, I'm a total student in this Growth Academy because there's things that I can learn from every leader that I'm going to put in front of you. Now, what you're going to get a chance to see, what you're going to get a chance to experience, you're now in the hallway and you're in the right room, right? You're in the right room and you get a chance to spend a couple of hours in the room hearing what's going on in the room. Do you know how powerful that is? That's extremely powerful. See, when I got on the President's Council and the Leadership Council, the President's Council and the Chairman's Council, and we had our first meeting, I got in the room. And you know what I'm doing right now? I'm on the board with WFG now for the compensation board with me, Marlette, and 5, 6 other leaders where we're talking about the comp and structuring certain things in the comp. I'm in the room. You follow me on that? Guess what you're doing right now? You got in the hallway. You have an opportunity to get in the room. Right? Now, you might say, well, I'm just a training associate, Dan. I'm just an associate, Dan. You're a leader. You got to start acting as if. You got to act as if right now. You follow me? Now, you separated yourself from the pack by even attempting to go through the Growth Academy. but just getting there. So you just got a little snapshot of what's going to happen the next 90 days. By the way, here's what you need to know. There will not be another Growth Academy, Next Level Growth Academy that I'm going to be putting together that you're going to be able to get in the room. This is going to be the only one. After our Wealth Bowl, I'm going to separate it. We're going to have the Next Level Growth Academy. It's going to be strictly from training associates all the way up to MDs. And guess what? Some of the leaders you're going to get a chance to hear from. And let me tell you, every leader that I'm putting in front of you are going to be, they're going to be extremely intentional about what they teach you. So John and I spent 2 hours on the phone about his presentation. 2 hours. That's why he was extremely prepared. That's why he didn't just jump on there and just wing this stuff. You follow me on that? So you're going to get the best out of those leaders. Now, with the Next Level Growth Academy after Wealth Bowl, right? It's just TAs through MDs. I'm going to have a different set of leaders that do that training, that you're going to have access to different leaders. Then we're going to have the Growth Academy, and the Growth Academy, you're going to have to be an SMD and up to be part of the Growth Academy. So it's going to be two different things. So if you're going to the Next Level Growth Academy right now, consider yourself lucky till you hit SMD, because you won't have access to it till you hit SMD, right? Okay. Okay. Graduation qualifications. Okay, graduation qualifications. We're at home stretch. This is what you guys were waiting for, right? Okay, so there's going to be 3 levels, right? And this is where you want to get your pen and pad. This is not, oh, by the way, do not share this on Facebook. Do not share this on Instagram. This is just for the Growth Academy. You follow me on that? Now, if your income is between 0 and 99,000, you are part of the bronze team. So when you register as a bronze team. If your income is between 100,000 to 199,000, you are part of the silver team. By the way, that's your rolling 12. So if you got your $250,000 ring, because at one time you hit 250, and now you're down at 180, you ain't on the gold team, you're on the silver team. You follow me on that? Now, if your income is 200,000 and above, that means that you're at 500,000, you're at 600,000, you're at 700,000, you're part of the gold team. Okay? So when you register, you're part of the gold team, right? Okay. Now, next, how to graduate Next Level Growth Academy. Here's the challenge. If your income is between 0 to 49,000, you must grow by 30%. Now, I know I'm going to lose you with these percentages, but I'm going to break it down in a few minutes. If your income's between 50 to 99,000, so let's say you're Leah and you're at $85,000, right? Or let's say you're Pavi and you're at $90,000, right? Well, guess what, Pav? You got to grow your income by 20%. You got to grow your income by 20%, whether it's your personal pen, whether it's override. I don't really care. You got to grow it by 20%. If your income is between 100,000 to $250,000, you're moving a bigger number. So you got to grow that number by 10%, right? If your income is $250,000 and up, So let's say you're at 600,000-700,000. You're moving a bigger number. You got to grow your income by 5%. So what does that look like? Let's go to the next one. So let's say I'm at $25,000 a year, and I grow my income by 30%. That means that my rolling 12 is 32,500. That means I started the Growth Academy. I was at 25,000. I grew it by 30%. Now my income is at 32,500. Right? Let's say I'm at 75,000. I grow by 20%. I go from 75%. I go from 75,000 to 90,000. Let's say I'm at 120,000. Right? I grow by that by 10%. Now I'm at 132,000. Let's say I'm at 300,000. I grow that by 5%. I'm now at 315,000. Right? Now, next, if you're a senior associate or a marketing director, for you to qualify, you got to make at least $25,000 for you to qualify. You're welcome to go again. If you're starting at zero, you grew to 30%. 30% of zero is what? Right? You got to make at least 25 grand. Right? Remember what John talked about, right? Remember what Think and Grow Rich talked about? Those 6 steps. That's why I had him train on that. Right? So you got to know the exact amount of money that you're going to make by the exact date. What is it that you're willing to sacrifice, right? To be very specific. To be terrific, you must be specific. Now, next, how to graduate Next Level Growth Academy. Number 1, you got to hit 5-5-30. What's 5-5-30, Dan? You got to do 5 recruits, 5 apps in the next 30 days. 5 recruits, 5 apps in the next 30 days. Now, some of you have teammates that are on here. So your teammate did 5-5-30 and you did nothing. So you say, did 5-5. Oh, minimum, you must do 1 personal app, 1 personal recruit in order to qualify. So if your team did 5-5-30 and you did nothing, you don't qualify. Because you got to do at least 1-1, right? Just for gain clarity. Can you imagine if you had 25 people going to this right now? What could happen in your organization? Can you imagine if you had 10 people going through this right now? What could happen in your organization, right? Number 2, 40,000 points in 3 months. 50% personal and 50% team, or 100% personal. You got to put your name on some apps, right? So you got to do at least 40,000. That's at least 15,000, 16,000, 17,000 a month, right? You got to know how to write personal business, right? Number 3, let's say you're on here. You're not licensed yet. Not only your health, but you need to have your health license. Why? We do long-term care, right? You need to have your health license. I'm going to change that date from October to November till the end of the class. Because a lot of you are calling from different states, and there's different challenges from different states and Virginia and all these different places, because we've got people, we can't assume when we're doing this that everyone's in California, because they're not, right? Here's the next thing. You're either growing or dying. You need to be promoted by MD by November 30th. So some of you that's been parked as senior associate, you've been parked as associate, you've been parked as training associate, you need to get to MD by November 30th. You got a deadline now. Well, if I know I got to get to MD by November 30th, well, probably the first thing that I need to know, I need to have a game plan on exactly what I need to do to get to MD. I became an SMD in less than 3 months, and my exchange rate had 25 licensed agents in it, 25 duly licensed agents in it. Actually, my exchange leg is in the Growth Academy, Selwyn Farrell. He's out in Florida, right? Number 5, a big one. You need to be in alignment and accountable with your SMD leader. You need to be in alignment and accountable with your SMD leader, right? So if you're in someone's base shop, let's say you're in Christopher's base shop, right? Or let's say Christopher's your CEO, or let's say Paul Ireton is your EVC, or Jeff Brookshire is your EVC, or Nate Ireton, Nate Precious is your CEO. Well, guess what? You need to be in alignment and accountable with your SMD and your leader, which means that guess what? You got to provide your accountability sheet. You got to say, hey, man, I'm in this, I'm in the Growth Academy. I'm a training associate. I'm associate, senior associate. I'm going to be the next MD in your base shop. I intend, I evoke that by November 30th, I am going to be an MD, right? Additionally, you must be registered and attend the Synergy Convention 2021, which Christopher's going to put that out. You got to be registered for that. You must have a 70% persistency. Our team persistency right now is 87%. So guess what? All I'm saying, you got to have a 70% persistency, right? Requirements number 1 and 2 must be met in rolling 3-month period, September, October, November. So some of you got a head start already on September. September, October, November, right? 90 days, right? Okay. Next. In October 1st, before Next Level Growth Academy, when's October 1st? October 1st is what day? It's Thursday. Okay, so here we go. Provide our staff, right? Our staff, Christopher has the staff available that's going to take care of this. By the way, our staff does not work for you. It's mine and Christopher's staff. You follow me on that? So don't be giving our staff a hard time. So 1, provide from WFG cash flow September 2019 to August 2020. So guess what? Go to my WFG online. Here's my current cash flow. 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand. I made $100. I don't have a cash flow. I just got licensed. I got to go from 0 to hero. That means that I got to make $25,000 in the next 90 days, which is not that hard to do, you guys, once you decide. All participants must attend. You must attend every virtual training, BPM, full-timers, and classes. Full-timers, obviously, if you're full-time, right? If you got a job, we get it, right? Full-timers, classes, or be removed from the academy, right? You must attend all, right? You also must have your camera on, and we need to be able to see you. Must be on all NLGA meetings 15 minutes early. So when we say the meeting starts at 6, automatically for you, the meeting starts at 5:45. Now, in Elite Circle, every class we have homework, right? There's not going to be any homework on this. That's going to make it even harder for you, right? So all of you that start in Elite Circle, from start to finish, you're going to be in the room from start to finish. Now, whether you graduate or not is whether you got those things done. So all of you will have an opportunity to go through the entire training. It's very different than Elite Circle. Elite Circle, we start with 400 people and we graduate 15. 350 of them never saw class 5, never saw class 6. All right. Provide your projected cash flow by percentage growth. So here's what we want to see. What we want to see is that we want you to do your homework, which means this: if you're on the bronze team, the silver team, or the gold team. So let's say you're on the bronze team, and you say, "Hey, I got to grow my cash flow by 30% by 30%." And let's say your cash flow is 30,000 right now. We want you to project what is the goal. If I grow my cash flow by 30%, that's going to give me 30% of whatever. That's going to be the goal for me to hit. So when we pull up your cash flow comes graduation, it's very clear. You either hit your mark or you didn't hit your mark, right? It's going to be pretty cool to see how many people actually hit their mark. Before graduating, all paperwork needs to be in order for recruits, apps, and cash flow. It's not our job to go digging that out. It's your job to go digging that out and make a case on why you graduated. You follow me on that? It's a lot of pressure on you. $150 individual participation. So if you're just going through this yourself, it's a $150 participation. If you and your wife or you and your partner are going through it together, that is $200 per couple, right? That's reimbursed once you graduate. Graduates will receive, everyone that graduates, what we're going to do, and Christopher already organized this. Actually, he's in charge of organizing it. We're going to do a retreat up in Lake Arrowhead. We're going to do a retreat with Lake Arrowhead. We'll probably go out on a Friday. Come back on a Sunday, and it's going to be a leadership retreat, which is going to be, man, it's going to be freaking awesome. We're going to have some fun too. But the group that graduates, we're going to have an amazing, amazing time, right? Which is going to be pretty cool. Okay. So, and next page. Now, there's, you've heard, you got Jamie. It's going to be very intentional. You got Jonathan Miriam. Just crossed over 1 million. You heard him. I just did a meeting for him 3 days ago. Guy's on fire. Steve Holbrook. You heard from him at the convention. Marshall Falk. You guys, Marshall Falk charges $35,000 to $40,000 just for an appearance, let alone talk. He's doing this for me. You know how much he's charging me to do this? He's doing it for me just on a handshake. Okay, so don't take this stuff lightly, you guys. Eric Olson, right? Olson and I already talked. By the way, you guys, listen to me when I'm talking to you. You guys know Shin is a good friend of mine. He's my buddy and all of that stuff. But we don't throw shade on any leaders at all. Okay? So I don't endorse any of that stuff. Okay? Olson's a good friend of mine. And whenever you're winning at every level, there's going to be people throw shade at you. So those of you that were smirking and all of that stuff, I don't take that stuff. Don't do that. You follow me? You clap onto others as you would like others to clap onto you, right? Olson, let me tell you, I spoke to him. There's a reason that he's closing it. Man, he's going to bring some stuff to you guys. It's going to be freaking incredible. And I got one more speaker. We're working some stuff out before I get them on the screen, but it's going to be freaking awesome, right? Now, I got to be honest with you. I wish, right? One of the reasons I open it up to TAs and associates, I wish when I just got started in WFG, there was something like this By the way, did you notice everyone on here is making 7 figures plus? So you get a chance to be in the room with 7-figure plus earners and seeing that kind of mindset. So you got to start acting as if right now. So I don't care if you're at 300,000 a year, $500,000 a year, 750 a year, $1 million a year. You be crazy not to be part of that, right? You deserve. I put a lot of work getting this stuff together for you guys, and tonight was just orientation. Can you imagine what class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, man, you follow me on that? Now, what I want you to do, because now you got some specific goals, right? I didn't do golf score where you're going to get points for personal recruiting, base shop recruiting, personal points, net point. I didn't do any of that stuff. One laser focus, growing your cash flow, right? You know the fastest way to grow your identity? Work really hard, make a lot of money. Work really hard, make a lot of money, right? Now, I hope you're excited as I am. So here's the deal. So tonight, and tomorrow so from tonight till tomorrow at 12, registration is open for the Next Level Growth Academy. So it's 9 o'clock right now. So from 9 p.m. till 12 p.m. tomorrow, registration is open. At 12 p.m. tomorrow, that means like we have full-timers in the morning, and after full-timers at 12 p.m., the registration site for the Next Level Growth Academy, the window has closed. So if you go register tomorrow at 12:05, you guys know how anal I am about time, it's done, right? So we have 417 people on there, right? So you have till 12 p.m. tomorrow to decide whether you're going through the Growth Academy or you're not going through the Growth Academy. Now, let me share something with you. Well, Charlier, you're closing me. Yeah, I am, by the way. I don't have to back down from that, right? Because I understand the value of it. Successful people make decisions quickly, and they're very slow to change them. Well, first of all, why am I closing you? The more money you make, the more money I make. You get that? The more money you make, the more money I make. What's in it for me? You know what's in it for me? The more money you make, the more money I make. Your SMD, the more money you make, the more money he makes. Why do you think you're on there? So he or she has a financial incentive to help you. You guys follow me on that? That's what makes our model so powerful, you guys. So John Shin came to speak to my team. John does not have a financial incentive to help me. Do you know why? The more money I make, he doesn't make any money if I make money. Well, obviously he participates in the bonus pool because he's an SCVC. So if you're an SCVC, you're an ambassador for the company because you participate in the bonus pools. So if my team does really well, right, his team does really well, we participate in the bonus pools. But he doesn't make more money because he came to train my team. I don't make more money when I go train his team. There's no financial incentive in him doing that. That's why if he said, hey, Charlier, I'll come speak to your guys, but you got to cut me a check for $5,000. You got to cut me a check for $10,000. I usually do this for $25,000, but hey, you give me $5,000, I come speak to your team. He could totally do that. There's no reason why he can't do that. You follow me on that? That's why he said that there. Yesterday, give you an example. Yesterday, Mylett spoke at the convention. Somebody videoed Mylett's talk and put it on YouTube, right? And Mylett texted me, because it was someone on our team. Mylett texted me within seconds. He's like, yo, somebody on your team uploaded my talk on YouTube. Have them take it down ASAP. That's why you can't see it anymore, right? Why? He protects his content. He doesn't give his content out for free. That's what John was talking about, right? They protect their content. So all these individuals that are coming to speak, you guys, the content that they're going to give you, see, you have to understand value. See, as you start to personally improve and start personally growing, right? Some of you will attend, some of you will get a coach. You'll pay a coach a couple of grand a month. Or you'll go to some seminar where you pay $800, $900 to go to a seminar, right? And when you get to the seminar, you realize, especially if you've been in WFG for a while, you realize, oh my God, this is the stuff our leaders teach us all the time, but they don't charge us for it. See, because you don't understand the value of it, right? So these leaders are very, you guys, do you know how many people I turn down on a weekly basis? How many people ask me, hey, can you come speak to my team? Can you come speak to my team? I turn down so many of these. I only speak to certain teams and certain times, maybe once a year. I'm not speaking to your team more than once a year or once every 2 years. You follow me? My investment is in you guys, not going to speak to John's team. I go to speak to John's team so I can get John to come speak to my team. I go to speak to Jamie's team so I can get Jamie to come speak to my team. I go to speak to Johnny's team so I can get Johnny to come speak to my team. Holbrook, Olsen, I'm closing out his NLGA. Right? He called me, he's like, hey man, my whole team wants you. Can you close it out? I go, I could, provided that you close out mine. You follow me on that? So you're getting, right? You're getting all this value. Let me tell you why. We want you to win. We want to invest in you, and I'm not gonna break it down because you're a TA. I'm not going to break it down because you're an associate this time. But the next one, it's going to be broken between MDs and SMDs. Now, some of you that made the mistake and you went, oh my God, I thought this was Elite Circle. I thought this, I thought that. Matter of fact, what do you mean you thought it was Elite Circle? Elite Circle is freaking awesome. If you look at all the top leaders that came out of Synergy Financial, they're all graduates of Elite Circle. Stop trying to big time things. We're still going to have Elite Circle. I'm not going to do it, but we're going to have leaders do Elite Circle, right? Now, some of you got some people you wish you got to orientation. Let me tell you, it's not too late. From now, from the minute I'm done here, till tomorrow at 12, you better get as many people as you can in that class because that window closes at 12 o'clock. It closes. Right? Now, I hope you're excited. I hope you're just as excited as I am about this. I literally could not sleep for a couple of days just because I'm so freaking fired up about this Growth Academy. Okay? It's going to be freaking awesome. So I want you to get your stuff in, get with your leaders, get with your SMDs, mastermind, maybe do a Zoom meeting with your team and go, hey, I made a mistake. I don't know why I didn't think about you. You should have been at the Growth Academy. It's not too late. You got to get registered. You got to get registered, boom, 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 all of that stuff, okay? And the SMDs and the MDs, those of you that have teams on here, get with your team. Get them organized. Make sure that they have everything they've done. Make sure that they're registered, all of this stuff, because tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we got the list. The list is done. Okay? Any questions, comments, statements? No? Thank you, guys. Welcome to the Next Level Growth Academy. And man, it's going to be an awesome fourth quarter. We're going to close out freaking strong. Super excited, you guys. Thank you. See you guys at the top.